Did you just reference people on Reddit that you're talking to about McDonald's Monopoly pieces and the theories that they have of where to find the good ones? Have these people won anything?
Like, I'm not going to dignify that. The 20 pack of nuggets, like, I think that's the winners are probably coming out of.
You're entering the Mayo experience.
Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by DraftKings. Week number 6 picks against the spread. Survivor selections made by me, because I'm the only one left. And free money and Cust Corner. That's always a fun time. So you can always hit the time codes and do all of that. Geoff Fienberg, guess what?
What?
The Survivor League is coming now. I got a text this morning. The link is down in the description. It starts in week 7, actually. So you can reserve your spot right now. You can make your picks starting next Tuesday. So please go reserve your spot right now and join in the free Survivor Restart League, $5,000 to be split amongst the winners at the end of it, completely free to play. It's on leaguesafe.com where you can play the weekly in there as well. So please go do that. Link is down in the description. I thought you'd be happy to hear that, considering that I got freaked out in week 1 and in week 2, and then I stopped talking about it, and then boom, I stopped thinking about it, and it's happening.
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't prepared for that. You kind of caught me off guard. I like that we get the week build up, because it doesn't start till week 7. But for all of the road that was here seems kind of rocky, it seems like a well-timed, get Survivor Take 2 going for most people.
There are a lot of people who are out of Survivor right now, so that's the way that I would probably want it. So, maybe, I'm going to take Buffalo, spoiler alert, this week, that if they're, or Miami, we'll see, I suppose. I didn't really map it out. I'm just kind of making picks off the cuff. It's the only reason that I'm left in this one. So maybe everyone will be in. They'll want to get back in. It's free anyways. It could be free money for you. Anyway, let's bring in the third member of the show. The Coin is in studio with me. And on the line, kale chip enthusiast, Tim Undergust.
Tim Undergust.
That's not my name, but yes, kale chips are amazing.
Did you
I've been
know
telling
that,
people. I've been telling people about this all holiday weekend. How phenomenal kale chips are.
So you're pretty much just telling people to get you an air fryer for Christmas?
I'm saying no such thing. I'm just saying I was flabbergasted by how delicious they were.
Well, that is what you're doing when you go around your family talking about how something amazing from an air fryer is, and they're like, "Oh, Tim, do you have an air fryer?" And you're like, "No." They're like, okay, I guess I know what I'm getting Tim for Christmas.
Let's just say if I were going to a potluck, a new dish has entered the fray.
You'd bring a whole bunch of kale chips?
Sure, people would be fired up for them too.
It's not really a dish. It's more of a side.
Whatever. A dish is whatever I decide a dish is. I
didn't realize that you're the one who makes the rules for these things.
Yeah, I am. When it comes to what I bring to my potluck, yes, I make the rules. You don't like it, you don't have to eat any of the kale chips.
Yeah, but so it's your potluck. What if you were just going to a potluck and they expected you to bring a dish? This is what you'd bring?
If I felt like it, yes.
Geoff, would you be stunned to know that Tim is the person who at potlucks and gathering is the one who's like, hey, can you pick up some paper plates and paper towel?
No. He starts bringing a frozen box of matzo sticks, so I can't be surprised to hear anything. But I guess if I was inviting Tim to my potluck, I would just put him on paper plates.
Maybe some Pepsi. You can pick that up on the way, and then you get triggered because he doesn't like Pepsi. But I'd be like, hey,
I wouldn't buy it.
But it's my. You wouldn't buy it, really?
No, I'd come with Coke.
Well, but I've asked for Pepsi. It's my party.
Well, then you don't have. Then you should have asked somebody else. You asked somebody.
So you couldn't even do me the solid of going to pick up something on the way like that. That would be your stance. Hey, I'm getting you all this free food. I'm having a party. You can come. I need you to pick some Pepsi on there. I won't do it.
You know what? I'll buy both. I'll bring you your Pepsi, but I'll bring you Coke too. And I'll spend that time trying to convert you over to the virtue of taking the Coke. I'll bring you both. That way you're happy and I'm happy.
I mean, it's not even for me; it'd be for the guests at the party.
Well, and we'll see which one people go for.
I don't really care, but I don't want the Coke there.
Well, I do.
I asked you, but I don't care what you want. It's my potluck. I'm using the rules that you've put in place about people hosting potlucks. Whatever I say goes. Whatever I no. Whatever I say goes at my potluck. That's what you said.
When it comes to me bringing a dish, yes. That's how potluck works.
Yeah, but you're not bringing a dish. You're bringing a side. It'd be like, but basically, listen, I like kale chips as much as the next person, but that's no different than bringing a bag of chips. It's not a dish.
Look, potluck means you bring anything under the sun, and you just bring what you bring.
Right, so people are spending like $100 to prepare this nice fancy dish. Tim's going to the store and picking up $3 worth of kale, Geoff.
Yeah, he's actually saved money from his like $12 matzo stick box. That was his old move.
It's true. Do you find that he sounds a little bit different today?
I didn't notice. Marginally, I guess a little.
The people will notice because it's a podcast. Tim, do you want to explain to people what happened?
So like 18 months ago or so, the mic that Pat sent me stopped working, and I didn't have the courage to say that I didn't know what was going wrong. So I just picked up a headset with a mic attached to it, and I've been using that for the last 18 months. And it's been working fantastically, but now I can't find it. And so today I'm not using it. And I was just trying to explain to Pat the situation. And he said, well, why didn't you just tell me about the mic? And I was like, I was too proud to admit that I couldn't figure it out. I was on such a streak of having no tech issues on my end. I didn't want to admit that I had any mic issues. So I just decided to be resourceful.
This is a horrible flaw. Like, despite you trying to, like, your sense of your pride, like, no one gives a shit. Pat deals with tech issues all the time.
I did a show on Monday that didn't get released because I forgot to record my audio on it. Had to reshoot a show, and then the video didn't work on it. I guarantee you just had it plugged into you probably had it plugged into the wrong slot. So I asked him, I was like, hey, it's okay that you don't have the mic that you've been using. That one sounds fine. It sounds great. Just go grab the other one and plug that in. And he told me this. So basically his solution to it was throw it in a closet at his parents' house and just leave it there forever.
But it's probably could potentially be something so minor that Paul could help him, like you or Paul could fix for him over the phone.
100%. 100%.
So I'm going to try to find it this week and try to bring it on Sunday if I can find it at Mom and Dad's. I think I know where it is.
What else has your pride destructed?
I don't know, Geoff. I don't know.
No, this just because this seems so minor. And I mean, like Pat mentioned a tech issue. We've been on the air. There have been tech issues. Like, it's a mic issue. I don't understand where. Like,
I was just really proud that I was going week after week after week without any audio issues, that you were the person having trouble every week, not me. And then all of a sudden my like Mickey Mantle streak had been broken, and I was like, couldn't admit it.
No, but this is just an element of your insanity, because this is such a minor issue that your pride has probably stepped in the way of fixing like major issues potentially in your life.
I don't know. It was a weird thing. If I had just remembered my headset that I picked up, then I wouldn't have this problem, but I'm a fool.
Let's look back.
I was hoping I'd get away with it, and I didn't. Anyway.
You were hoping you were going to, you thought that you would sound exactly the same talking into your laptop?
Hoping.
Really?
I was hoping that it would be so marginal that you wouldn't notice, but of course you noticed immediately.
Because it sounds way different.
Yeah.
You know what you could have done is just use your phone. Just logged into Zoom from your phone, then you could have done it that way. That's a better microphone.
I don't know how to do that.
You click the link from your fucking phone, and it opens.
Suppose I could have done that.
Or you could have not told me about, did you break your phone too? Can't use that?
No, my phone's back to working after the troubles I had Sunday night.
Yeah, he had some trouble Sunday night, Geoff. Do you know what it was? He had like water on his phone.
Oh, so couldn't charge, like moisture in the...
No, the touchscreen wasn't quite working the way it ought to.
You know, like when you get a little bit of moisture on your screen and you try to click something, but it clicks the wrong spot, like slightly above it instead of exactly where you're pushing it? That was happening to Tim, yet he refused to believe that's what was happening to him.
I was just trying to fix it on my own. I didn't want to get into this whole thing about how I had phone troubles. And
fixing it on your own probably just means leaving it alone for 10 minutes.
Well, that ended up being what happened.
All right, let's recap last week. We got the records. Me and the coin tied for first place at 8-6. Geoff was 7-7. Cust was 6-8. That brings the total on the season to 42-35 for me, out in the lead. The coin and Cust tied, one game above 500 at 39-38. Geoff is 38-39, one game behind then. So a dead heat. We're almost all above 500. That's good to see. Superlocks. Geoff got his wrong, Cust, and so did Cust. I got mine right. So
That game was fixed.
The game wasn't fixed.
That's why.
So when
You're
Geoff,
right, it wasn't fixed, but if there was a game that was fixed, that game was fixed.
Cust is now on. Cust is now the guy complaining online to get his money back from bets, but the problem is he doesn't even bet. So now he's just complaining to us about it.
Well, I actually did bet last week, and I won.
That is true.
There's somebody out there, and we'll get to it when we get to it, has a lot of crow to eat on this show, and I am very much preparing to watch him devour that.
I'm in big trouble in a lot
You
of
are.
fronts.
You are.
Can I finish listing the recap from last week, or would you like to interrupt me again?
I'm sorry. When I can't see you, it's hard for me to get a gauge of where you are.
You could listen when I'm saying records, and then you just jump in.
Sorry.
Are you sure?
I am sorry.
All right. Are you going to keep doing it? You see, you should respond when I ask you a question.
No, I'm not going to keep doing it.
So Geoff did not get his, you did not get yours, but I got mine. So you and I are now tied for the Superlock lead at 3-2. Geoff had a push in there at 2-2 in the free money loss because the Bears won on Thursday night. And then the Jags won in London on Sunday morning. So that blew that one up pretty quickly. Let's go to Thursday night football. This is a fun stat I have for you on Broncos Chiefs, Geoff. So the Chiefs are favored by 10.5 points at DraftKings Sportsbook at the moment. It has been 2,947 days, Geoff, since the Broncos last beat the Chiefs. We were approaching 3,000. If they beat them twice this year, it's going to be 3,000 days next season since they last won.
That is quite the stat. Credit to Tim, who had the big win versus Denver last week.
Thank you.
I don't know what to make of that. This is a big rivalry in league circles. For most of my childhood, was probably the most competitive AFC West rivalry in many respects. I'm shocked to hear that, but I don't even know how. My math is so bad. How many years is that?
It
was the 2015 season.
It's 15 games.
Yeah, the year that the Broncos won the Super Bowl.
So I was wrong by 6 years. I'm an idiot.
Doesn't 10.5 seem too short?
Yeah, I have just been. I feel like in the really high spreads this year, the favorites are covering. The only one that comes to mind would be maybe Dallas against Arizona. But for the most part, it seems like once we're crossing 10, I've had no problem, at least for this show, laying it, and I'm going to lay it here. I don't care. I'd love for Denver to shock me, but I don't believe it.
There's a good chance that now that they've lost to the Jets, Tim, that they beat the Bears. Losing to the Bears would have really been the feather in the cap for this. But Denver has to be outright tanking at this point. They shouldn't be trying to win anymore.
I would agree with that. But if we look at the last, we look at, you brought up history. Last year, the Chiefs beat the Broncos twice. They wouldn't have covered this kind of number in either of those games. Both those games were actually extremely close. Which is interesting that maybe Denver does play them a little closer. I'll take Denver plus the 10.5. I think that the Chiefs have trouble playing to big spreads on a short week in a game that doesn't really matter. They're going to lose interest, I think. Somewhat.
I feel like this Chiefs and big spreads thing has kind of been disproven.
Has it?
Well, then take
recently? Maybe I'm wrong about that. Also, last year, how do you put this? Denver's defense was so good last year that this number, this high, this early in the year, ended up being an easy cover and maybe a game that I assume Denver probably blew and could have won. Denver's defense is now hovering these historically bad orbit, and against an Andy Reid and Mahomes, where inferior or the superior teams seem to have more of a heightened advantage on Thursday. Love to be proven wrong. Be shocked if it's even close. So I will lay the Chiefs to kind of Pat's initial sentiment. If I'm a Bronco fan, I'd be like, this should be 14. The fact that it's 10.5 makes me think like we got maybe there's some trick up someone's sleeve, because it should flirt with 13, 14.
Yeah, it seems like a really bizarre number. Now, I don't know if Javonte Williams is going to play. It seems like Travis Kelce is going to go in this one. Looks like the jab isn't going to keep him out of this. He'll play on the short week. But after watching so much of that Denver and Jets game last week, because I had, by the way, Geoff, you should be using the prop sniper at Run the Sims, because the thing is just printing money at this point. I'm not even betting spreads anymore. I'm just betting same game parlays and hitting them.
Yeah, I saw that success ratio from last week. That was impressive.
Yeah, it's been pretty good. I mean, when you take the picks out of my hands and put them into the computer's hands and the simulation's hands, all of a sudden we're good to go. I'm actually asking Justin if we can make our own package for people who don't like give a shit about DFS and like that's so much of what's going on the site. Then there's just this other tool that maybe we can just like have a cheaper package for just the prop tool. If people would be interested in that, tell me in the comment section, because if that's the case, I'll come up with a reasonable price for it every single month or every single week, and you can have just that if you don't care about DraftKings or other places where you can play DFS and worry about those simulations. You just want the prop tool. Let me know on that front. Play in Survivor as well.
Or an option for people where it's illegal to play DFS.
Well, that's where it came up. I had a few people from Ontario tell me, like, hey, I want to get the prop sniper, but it's mixed in with the daily fantasy product, and I don't want to waste my money on the daily fantasy product because I live in Ontario where they don't allow. It's like the Footloose of North America. They don't allow daily fantasy. I don't know what's going on. It's kind of nuts, but you can gamble. That's not a problem. You can play iCasino. That's not a problem. Daily fantasy, no thank you. Too tricky for us over here. But you can bet props. So if you do want the prop sniper, let me know, or just join Run the Sims right now, and we'll try to get it figured out going forward. I actually thought Russell Wilson, he didn't have a very good game, but he looks far more elusive and better than he did last year in terms of pocket presence. Like, so much was made at the beginning of last year. Remember, he was doing the high steps on the plane over to London, and like he could barely move around. Like, I mean, ask him, because we watched that game pretty closely. Like, he's getting away from people.
I agree. He looks better this season than he looked last season. I think that's pretty much self-evident. But yeah, that defense is really bad. I expect this to be a very boring 24-10 game.
Well, you took Denver.
Or sorry, not 24-10, 20 to
10.
Yeah, 20-10, maybe even less than that. Maybe like 13-3. I don't see a whole lot of
you don't think the Chiefs can score on them?
I don't think they're gonna. I think they're gonna like ratchet it back. It's like a bye week. It's would be smart to do so. I love the under of 48 in this game. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of points scored in this game, to be honest with you. I think it's going to be sort of a boring, bland game. It's like a preseason game where the Chiefs don't need to show anything.
This is not good because they play the Chargers next week, and this bullshit. The Chargers play on Monday, and I don't need to rabbit hole this. But Tim's alluding to something where Andy Reid and the Chiefs have even bragged that they don't show anything in a game like this.
No,
they don't. And maybe that led to them not covering some of the earlier great Chiefs teams wouldn't cover these numbers. But again, if your projected score is 20-10 or 13-3 and the number is 10.5 and you're on such a fine line, how you could come away with that trusting that you'll be on the right side of that thin margin with Denver as opposed to Kansas City is humorous to me. To be picking Denver, you almost got to think this can be like a 4-point game. Because that's sort of wiggle room you need based on the real number, in my opinion, and I'm wrong a lot.
The best, I'm looking at the prop sniper right now. It's still earlier in the week, so there's tons of injuries to consider. I like to wait. It's funny because most people want to get ahead of the props if you have a lean on it. This one, if you're going to run simulations on everything, it's best to kind of wait a little bit until you get some more clear injury news. But for the third straight week, Jarek under rushing yards continues to be the best prop. It just keeps winning every single week. He gets 2 carries a game at this point. It's down to 8.5, and it still likes the under. That's kind of nuts. Very highly
And
rated.
while
too.
Tim has taken the flag for hating Denver this year, and that was a great post you had after the game there, Tim. Well, credit to your team, whoever made that one up.
That's the team's work. I simply am the vessel for the team's intelligence.
So, and Denver's probably my most hated team in the division. I should hate Kansas City more than I do, but if you've watched this thing for long enough, I probably hate Denver the absolute most. So I see a lot of their like Twitter, and they're so offended when people who don't really focus on their games continue to bash Russell Wilson because he is playing better, but they are paying him at a QB1 level, and he can't raise the level of the team. So to me, because of the contract, he still deserves to be bashed.
Yeah, but I mean, anyone who's a starting quarterback who isn't a rookie gets paid like an obscene amount of money for no reason.
Okay, that is true, fair, and a problem for a lot of teams. So
yeah, and listen, I'm not saying Russell Wilson's good. But he's a lot better than he seemed like. He seemed like he was absolutely cooked last year. And maybe it just
I
turned
would
out.
take him in New York right now. If you put him on the Jets would be a Super Bowl contender.
I don't know about that.
But I don't think that's even disputable.
Well, you keep saying that things aren't disputable, but you live in a fantasy world where the Jets already won your hypothetical Super Bowl. So of course you think that.
Plus quarterbacking with all the talent they have to win games. And that's what Russell Wilson is giving you.
Is giving you like league average? Do you think he's been league average?
Yeah. Average, maybe slightly above league average at times, but probably league average.
He couldn't outduel Zach Wilson.
You're right. His defense, although the Denver defense actually played better against the Jets than people give him credit for. How many times did the Jets stall in the red zone? I think every time. Well, Denver's defense gave up 31, really only gave up 24 because one of that last touchdown was a fumble return, and they held them in the red zone. So it wasn't all darkness for Denver's defense.
Do you think that had more to do with Denver's defense or the Jets just being kind of terrible on offense?
Both.
So, yeah, right now.
The Jets could have won that game by 4 touchdowns.
Could have, but they didn't.
That seemed like it was more on the Jets than anything else.
I think that's unfair.
But we watched the game. Like when they couldn't clock the ball or threw that pick from the 10-yard line for no reason.
I mean, I think you got to credit the defense as well. You have to do both sides, or it's not fair.
I don't know if we have. So we have to credit the defense for Zach Wilson not being able to spike a ball. Or were they like going like this to him, and he got too freaked and couldn't do it?
But a team stalls 5 consecutive times in the red zone, or whatever the Jets did. To say that has nothing to do with the defense just isn't a serious argument.
I think it. I mean, I would like to know again from the people. Do you think that it was the Broncos defense or Zach Wilson's shittiness? Because there was multiple times where you said, "Hey, look, Garrett Wilson's wide open. Why didn't he throw it to him?" And you started having a hissy fit in the red zone. Yeah. So it's not like guys weren't open.
That is frustrating, but if the pass rush is getting there and then the quarterback is being flustered, that stuff again, it has to be both. There's no other way to look at it.
It doesn't. You were complaining that there was no pressure on him. Why didn't he see him? Why did he choose to make that throw? These are your words. What you were saying while you were watching the game.
It's interesting to see you backpedal and freewheel to try to win the argument when you know you've got nothing to stand on here.
I mean, I'm using your words, which you said at the time, and I am completely on the side that, Denver's 32nd ranked pass defense and 31st ranked rush defense weren't really causing many problems. Zach Wilson's just terrible.
Up 70 points in a game, that's going to really skew your numbers.
If you take that out, they're still the worst pass defense and the 3rd worst rush defense.
But again, they did not play horribly on Sunday. They just didn't. There's no argument for that. And I'm not really interested in entertaining it. So let's move on.
I mean, Geoff, how much of that game did you watch? Because I would say that they played pretty terribly.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I was...
Talk about what Geoff was doing for Thanksgiving.
I was after Thanksgiving. So it was a very... Listen, the Chargers... It was Canadian Thanksgiving. The Chargers were on bye. I said this to Pizzola. Like Brandon Staley says, every 4th down decision is its own. Everyone likes to think that the previous ones impact the future ones. They don't. They are their own. Every decision that I make as a husband and a father it's its own. It's its own orbit. And the Chargers were on bye on Thanksgiving, and I had no recourse. I did not see much of afternoon Sunday football other than to sweat the Vikings teaser like I assume most of the world was.
How much money was the Thanksgiving dinner that you went to? Cust and I were debating it
a
on
lot
the
of
Sunday
money.
show.
Now, this was a part of my corner, but we can talk about it now if you want.
Well, I said it was going
I
to be.
don't want to talk about it.
I mean,
don't wanna
was it
talk about
was it over under $10,000?
What?
That was my guess.
Per person?
Yeah.
Under?
Okay. I thought you were going to say
But-
over.
But collectively. Thank you very much.
It was a large table.
But okay, let me ask it this way. Is there any circumstance under which you could have beaten the house?
Well, you beat the house because you were there. It was a nice
Is there
facility.
any circumstance under which you could have eaten enough to have beaten the house?
I mean, I didn't pay anything personally, so I beat the house. If that's like, I don't know how you quantify it, but there's no way whoever's signing for that's beating the house.
That's what I was going to ask. Like, is there any way a person could do that?
Well, I mean, unfortunately, there's not like the fancy place that Geoff went to go eat this giant dinner. Like, they don't have low lives like you in there who are just trying to like stuff things into their pocket and leave with them.
Well, I assume like I didn't see caviar on there, which would have been like one of the ways you could have really, done that. So what did you go with? Did you go with the turkey, Jeffrey, or did you go with the beef? Because the beef at the carving station, from the sound of it, looked delicious.
I didn't know. Okay, that's my fault because I sent you the menu and you obviously.
Yeah, and if you don't think I studied that menu in depth about what I would get and what type of plate I would organize.
Yeah, I'm not big into vegetables, as you can see. Carving station, the carving station roast beef, carving station turkey, mashed potatoes. I'll hit up the seafood station, and don't think I'm not above hitting up the kids station for fingers and some grilled cheese. Like yeah, it was a lot of plates. Dessert. I done good.
Now
I did good.
I
Lost money on Sunday, but came plus EV on the food.
how good were the pumpkin tarts with the chantilly cream? See, now that to me, right up my alley.
How long did you look at this menu for?
An extensive period of time and on more than one occasion. Because like I just imagine myself there and all the various things that I would get. And I was like, I'd have that. How many trips could I make? Like they had crab legs, king crab legs on the menu. Like I would have wanted just a course of king crab legs.
I didn't have that whatever dessert you asked about. I didn't have that.
Well,
What did you have for dessert, Jeffrey?
Just
Vanilla ice cream.
Just like apple crumble ice cream, fresh cookies. I don't know.
Okay. Like they had salmon. They had
Geoff, it sounds like Tim is pretty critical for a guy that can't afford to go to the dinners you're going to. But you didn't get what I would have got. Fuck off.
I think it should be coming across that I am extremely jealous, and I really wish I had been there because that's
Tim,
how
and it was in a big like ballroom, like
Great.
the one in your house.
That
I
you could
would
rent
like
out.
that.
Did you rent it from Tim in his ballroom?
Yeah, it's like a big fancy dining room, ballroom. I guess people have like weddings there. I would assume.
They had the fresh horseradish and the Yorkshire puddings.
Yeah. See, so listen, that's what I was really excited. Like, rarely am I excited to have to miss football to do something, but I knew that was going to be a great meal. So I didn't really have an issue, and it was a Chargers bye week, so I couldn't say no if I wanted to.
How empty was the tank when you got there?
Oh, I'd eaten air and weed.
Exactly.
That is like literally all I ate. Yes, like in lead up to that meal. Yeah.
It seemed like such a time, and I was very excited for you, and very jealous that I was not having the same because I thought it looked like that's being in society right there. That's living the life.
Over under was it more or less than 2,500 a plate?
No, less.
Really? It was
Not
was
like
it
that.
actually less than that? I would have thought that's what it was.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was a nice, like, I'm sure it was really expensive, but per plate, But just to like breathe in that place costs a lot of money.
Yeah,
So,
I think it's like well into six figures as initiation just to get it if you are approved.
yeah, listen, that's not how do I put this? Yeah, that's not me. That's my mother. That's my mother-in-law. I only supply the country clubs with golf courses that host national opens. That's my lineage.
You.
That's the other side's got even nicer country clubs than I have access to.
Jeff lives the life of the average Joe over here.
He sounds like it. He lives.
No, listen,
he
I
lives
don't
a
know.
life I would
got
like to
brought
live.
up, but yeah, no, that play and I mean we could deep dive it, but it is not
Jacket and tie?
Oh yeah. If you were not, yeah, definitely. If that's type of place, like if you weren't wearing a blazer, they'd like send you to a room and like give you like a one that probably was left there 14 years ago
I assume, yeah.
to enter the room. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't realize this was gonna happen, but I sent Tim a menu because I knew he loved buffets, and here we are.
I told him where you were going for the buffet. He was like, Jeff's going there? Like, he very rarely gets excited about anything. He was like, really? There?
Yeah, well, I know the guy that runs the food and beverages there. He's one of my best friends.
I really, well, Pat, honestly, I don't like going, like, when we're offered meals there, like, I'm all like,
Oh, of course.
I love it. My favorite meal in the city is essentially their like Sunday brunch. Just like regular Sunday brunch, breakfast foods, lunch, like that is that's yeah.
I mean,
They do it the best.
I think you should take your wife and kids down to Frankie's Diner. That's where I'd bring them. Bit cheaper, I would imagine. But if people are
I
in
like
Toronto,
Frankie listen, I like diners too. I think it's a sad, I mean, something you get into with Cam, but the loss of like true diners around town.
Oh, there's diners around town. There was just too many diners was the problem. The ones that are left are great. Not every diner is
Fair
great.
enough.
Cam will tell you that every diner he's ever been to, much like Cust, it's like, it's amazing. I can't believe it. It's like, no, they're not all good.
Diner food is quality food. I'll stand by that.
I'm not saying that diner food is bad food, but you can have bad diner food.
Sure, I suppose it's possible. Like, particularly if like the scrambled eggs, if you get eggs are like hard and not well done. Yeah, I can see that.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I didn't see any 4:00 games really, except sweating the end of Vikings teasers.
I don't blame you. If I could have chosen between watching the Jets Broncos fiasco and gorging myself on poached shrimp and deluxe roasted turkey, which is the way it was. I really wanted to know what it meant.
And the au jus, like for the beef and the gravy for the turkey, like, oh man, still thinking about it.
I bet you it was so good.
Like, I wish any sandwich I eat could have that to dip in or something. Yeah.
I am so jealous. You've no idea.
And as Canadians, like, we do our own Thanksgiving, but don't think I'm not going to like celebrate right for American Thanksgiving. Now, it won't be this sort of like fancy feast, but I'll get together with buddies. We'll be feasting differently and not having the glad hand family and friends. So take advantage. I like double Thanksgiving, truth be told. Do it again next month.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only one that I actually celebrate. I do not celebrate Canadian Thanksgiving because I have to work on the Sunday and Monday, so I just spend it here watching football. It's kind of nice, actually. Don't have to deal with the in-laws. I mean, I like them and everything, but you don't want to spend an entire day with them. That's a little bit much. Let's go to London. Jolly old London. We got Baltimore at Tennessee. It's a neutral site game, obviously. 4.5 is the spread the Ravens are favored by at this moment. 40.5 is the over-under. Mike Vrabel said that Traylon Burks might start running this week. That's not a real strong endorsement that he's going to play over in the UK, but I don't have a really strong take on this game. The Titans are just such a weird team right now. Like, they can go out and they can put up numbers and run train on the Bengals and then get beat by the Colts the next week. It doesn't really seem to matter who their opponent is, but if the Ravens offense Listen, it's not even that Lamar was bad in that game. As Tim pointed out, like people just kept dropping the ball over and over and over and over again. That if that persists or Lamar doesn't hit guys in stride where they have to be hit, it's like a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right, I don't have any faith these guys are going to catch the ball. And this is one of the worst pass defenses in the league. They should be able to light up the Titans through the air. But if they just end up going on the ground, I mean, that's where the Titans excel. So I need one of you two to sell me on this because I'm really on the fence. Maybe the coin can sell me. Let's see, the coin has taken the Ravens. Geoff, who are you taking?
Vrabel is an underdog. Like getting more than the field goal seems like a real thing. If you can control the run game, though, you will beat the Titans, Pat. As for Lamar, I've got to like fully acknowledge like a casual hat that I wore for a moment because I had no action. Like this was Tim's calling the game fixed. It was his super lock, so he was super zoned in on it. I was watching other loser games like Atlanta versus
Me
Houston.
too. We watched a lot of Atlanta-Houston.
But all the games were on, and I had buddies who had this game bet, and there'd always just be like these moans coming from the guys watching that game, or the oohs and ahs, or like they can't believe what's happening. So I'm only like seeing it's almost like seeing the moments and Lamar, like they lose and it's a stupid game. So I'm like, oh my God, Lamar played horribly. But then to see the weak grades and he's the highest rated quarterback in football, shows like how much they really must have let him down. I assume they bounce back. I assume they have to bounce back. I've been on Tennessee a lot, but I'm going to try to fade them, which is dangerous because you're laying more than a field goal.
I like the sounds of that. If the game goes the other way, Tim, and you ended up being right, and the Ravens cover the 4, and they beat Pittsburgh as handily as it looked like they should have been beating them. They win the game, I don't know, 21-13 or something like that, where it's never really in doubt. What do you think the spread would be?
3.5.
It would be lower?
What? Oh, sorry, no. It's 4.5 now. Probably not much more because Tennessee played tight with the Colts and then beat I don't know if it affected a whole lot. Maybe it affects it a half point. I like the Titans.
You like the Titans, okay.
I do. I mean, part of what Baltimore struggled with last week was field conditions. And as we saw, you saw more of the early game than I did, but apparently the field conditions in the greatest stadium ever built are not that great. That's what people were saying about the Buffalo-Jacksonville game. So if the field conditions continue to be suboptimal at a suboptimal stadium like it is, then there's reason to take the underdog, who's a running team, who getting this many points covers at an outlandish clip. So I'll take the Titans.
It wasn't as big, put it this way, the turf in London was not as big of a problem as it was in Minnesota later on.
Sure.
Where now Justin Jefferson might be out for the year because he slipped on the turf. Kelsey almost blew out his ankle because he slipped on the turf.
Turf needs to go.
What's that?
Even this stuff is not good enough. All the big injuries seem to happen, and not exclusively on, but principally on artificial turf. I think it's got to go. Its day is done.
Do you know who's anti-turf?
Who?
The Swifties.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. So they've joined the debate. They have entered the turf debate.
I mean, the game was designed to be played on grass. The new artificial turf was supposed to, unlike old AstroTurf, was supposed to mimic real grass without the disadvantage of all the maintenance. And it just, I don't know if because guys in the last 5 years have gotten that much stronger, that much faster, that much more violent, that the technology is not where it needs to be. But I think if I were owning an NFL team, I would immediately switch out my turf if I had turf because my investments are at risk every single time they take the field on a turf field.
Sadly, I think the biggest issue is there's so few football games in a season and the stadiums, and they want to be able to do things like as silly, not even silly, but like monster truck events and obviously major concerts. And I guess with the grass, that's less feasible or less realistic, right? Like they want more dates in their building.
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, Arizona and Las Vegas both have grass in their stadium and they're indoors. Like, you can figure it out.
I'm curious what other events get held at that new Vegas stadium, just because Vegas has so many different venues for so many different things. Are they utilizing that giant stadium, or is that just football?
Well, they have like big basketball, like the Mountain 10 tournament will be there. The Final Four will be there now in rotation, stuff like that.
Will they actually have the Mountain? Is the Mountain 10 even a conference?
for the Mountain West and those
But
sorts of like.
You think they'll do that at the like 80,000 seat stadium? They wouldn't do that at like where the Vegas Golden Knights play, the T-Mobile Center?
I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, I know they're having the Final Four there soon.
Yeah, at the Final Four I could see, but I mean, for the Mountain West tournament, they're going to get 80,000 people in that building?
Yeah, you're right, Pat. I assume like the WWE events just go to the like the arena,
Yeah.
not the stadium.
Like WrestleMania would go to the football stadium. Like, I don't know what the pay-per-views are called these days, or even if they're called pay-per-views anymore, but like Backlash probably isn't going there.
Concerts, like if Swift came to town, for example, she's not coming to the T-Mobile Arena. She's going to the Allegiant Stadium.
Absolutely fair, but how many artists can sell that out? Most artists would, I mean, if you're going to be in Vegas, you'd probably go do a residency anyway, but very few artists are going to command 80,000 people to go to their concert.
Built that cool new dome there too for concerts.
But they do. That's where people
Here.
are playing. U2 just played there.
Oh,
yeah, look,
Would you want to go there? I think it's like $2,000 a ticket. I think shout out Tom Jacobs from our DP World Tour show. He just went there. We'll have to get his review of the Sphere.
it was either go have brunch where Geoff did for $2,000 or go to a concert for $2,000 in Vegas. That's my choice.
But you got to fly to Vegas too. That ain't free. Jeff can walk to where he went.
That's true. I'll take the gourmet buffet.
Let's move. So
I
I mean,
might bring you, but like you get me in trouble.
Yeah.
You'd be taking things home. You'd be
You
taking
would.
silverware and
well,
No, I'd be on my-
his cell phone case looks like a purse anyway. He'd be trying to jam like mustard packets into his phone or something. It's probably why it doesn't work.
I'm not a member of the Mustard Maniacs. I wouldn't do that.
Okay, it would just be molasses then. You'd be jamming molasses into your pants or something.
All right. I know how to act in an environment like that.
I don't think you do.
When I know that I have no chance of beating the house, it's different.
I don't know if you do know how to act in that. I know that you know how to act in fancy society, but that's usually like free events, not like real pricey events.
Well, I'm just assuming that this is paid for. I wasn't going to actually spend my own money on this. Was I?
No, yeah, but maybe you don't pay for it and go to it, but the collection when people are spending like tens of thousands of dollars to get tables in, and there's like, $1 billion of collective net worth in the room is a little bit different than like your usual like fancy whatever tea thing that you go to.
You're right. You're right about that. That's not high tea at a hotel. You're right about that.
Yeah, so like
And there's no like cash. There's no cash or credit cards passed around in these places.
I bet there isn't.
yeah. All right, let's move to Sunday night football. Just kidding. Monday night football. Dallas and the Chargers. Tim, I just texted you the thumbnail for this episode, by the way, if you were looking for that. The Chargers are favored by 2 points in this game. 50.5. The over keeps going up, Jeff, in this game. How are you feeling about the Chargers? And how mad are you that the Cowboys just got embarrassed on national television?
Yeah, so that's never fun. You said the Chargers were favored. I don't believe
sorry.
so.
They're 2-point underdogs to Dallas at home.
Yeah, so that wasn't ideal. You never like the team as a fan. You're always keeping an eye on who you're playing next, and when you see them get embarrassed, you're worried that they could have something for you, or their focus will certainly be heightened. It's a very weird feeling. It almost feels like it's opening day again, which that might sound weird, but in the context of dropping the first two games, getting back to 2-2, and then having a bye week, it kind of feels like this is all fresh again. I'm a believer in look ahead games and that potentially being real. Although this is out of a bye, Chargers play the Chiefs next. That's as big as it gets for the Chargers. That's as big as it gets for this group that is on the Chargers. Hopefully Kellen Moore will know maybe ways that we can go about attacking this defense. I don't feel good. I don't feel bad. I'm nervous, but I'm excited. I don't really know what to expect, but when it's going poorly quickly, I'll feel very comfortable in my surroundings.
I think this is an interesting game, Tim, because we kept speaking about like NFC versus AFC and how there's all these good teams at the very top of the NFC, like San Francisco and Philadelphia and Dallas, and now Detroit. They're into the mix too. But we haven't seen too many clashes of top-end NFC teams and top-end AFC teams. We thought we saw that in week 1 when San Francisco went to Pittsburgh. Now, I get that Pittsburgh's 3-2, but they seem like absolute dog shit. And the Niners might be the best team in the league and are just running train over everyone. But this was a very interesting one because Dallas has proven that they're not at the very, very top tier of the NFC. They're in that next tier down, or maybe they're even in the Detroit tier, and Philadelphia is ahead of those teams. Maybe Detroit can pass Dallas at this point. But the Chargers are firmly like one of the good teams in the AFC, but they're not one of the elite teams in the NFC. Like they're farther down the pantheon in the AFC than Dallas is in the NFC. And I still think that the AFC is better. I'm going to take the Chargers +2.
Yeah, the Chargers are actually the last part of a 5-team parlay. I think they whipped Dallas.
Last time you said we were going to.
Because I believe, and I've seen this now, against teams with sketchy offenses, the Cowboys can control and crush them. Against a team that can get any sort of offense generated, I expect them to be able to whip them. And Kellen Moore knows that Cowboys defense perfectly well, better than just about anybody. And the Chargers have all the right pieces coming off a bye. I mean, I think if you were looking to play a team like Dallas, this is the perfect spot to get Dallas on a Monday night after getting crushed to say, oh, they'll bounce back. No, not necessarily. Sometimes you could be reeling. Dallas could very well come out of this week 3-3 and spinning like a top because I kind of think the Chargers are going to knock them out. I think the Chargers should win this. They're shortlist for Superlock. They're on the money line parlay. I think the Chargers offense should have very little difficulty being able to go up and down the field without Diggs out there. I expect the Chargers to score 33, 34, 35 points.
Oh, my God.
Look, Arizona,
Dude.
San Francisco, no issues ripping apart the Cowboys defense. I don't know how they're going to how is Dallas with Parsons not at 100%?
You picked Dallas first overall in our draft.
Yeah.
First overall.
Yes, I did.
Now,
I picked them.
In fairness,
I did.
I believe Tim is in last.
No, I'm in last because none of my teams won a game last week. I was
I'm
a game out of first. Now I'm in last.
Got some wins last week. I got the Jets, the Lions, the Raiders. I got some wins last week.
I got 0 wins last week for my whole roster.
The Chargers are a really good matchup for Dallas, or the Dallas is a bad matchup for the Chargers. So perhaps a better put. Yeah,
You said one thing that I believe is vital, as it is in any game, but it seems most vital against this Dallas team, against this quarterback and that defense. If you're not giving that defense a pick six, if they're not scooping and scoring, and you make Dak Prescott and that team earn what they're going to get, it's going to be a ball game. In the same way that if you're playing the Chargers, if I'm the head coach playing against the Chargers, I'm just stressing, stay in the fight, stay in the fight, just stay in the fight. Because if we stay in the fight, we'll have an opportunity to win this game with a minute left, like anyone who plays the Chargers does. But I believe, as Tim sort of said, if Dallas isn't freewheeling with their defense and you make Dak Prescott execute his way through a football game, not up 2+ scores, things sometimes feel different. But doesn't this also feel like the game where after Dak is again the biggest loser on earth, he goes for like 350-3 on Monday Night Football, and it just sort of ramps up that whole like the polarizing Dak argument again? It's like 2 primetime games and 2 totally different results. Granted, 2 different defenses, but nonetheless, that's what I see.
I agree with you. I'm not on Tim's page where I think there's going to be some sort of blowout, but the Chargers almost exclusively play field goal games and they're getting 2 points. So half the time they're going to win by a field goal. Half the time they're going to lose within 3 points. They got 2 points to cover that. I could see this game somehow being a Fienberg, whereas the Chargers cover the 2 yet lose the game.
Yeah, going for 2.
Yeah, or missing an extra point or something like that. Or just weird Chargers stuff happening. So are you going to take Dallas or the Chargers, Geoff?
Like I'm
You're 2-0 picking against it.
Dallas.
You're 2-0, or the Chargers are 2.
Dallas.
The Chargers are 2-0 when you've picked against them.
I'm taking Dallas to rebound, to show everyone what they got, and we'll see. Listen, Dallas is in a bad way. Maybe Tim's right that they're still in a pretzel. I know their fans are because they blamed Kellen Moore for being too creative in their previous losses to the 49ers. And they're blaming Mike McCarthy for doing nothing, changing it up this time. So we'll see.
Dak's good, by the way. He's not elite, but he's good. Like, you would want Dak Prescott as your starting quarterback. Like, if that's like, I don't know if he's the worst quarterback that I think they could win a Super Bowl, but he's kind of like the line. I do think that the Dallas Cowboys can win a Super Bowl with Dak. I think he's good enough to do that.
They can win it this year, but right now they go on bye next week. I think after the Chargers score a bunch on them, I think they're going to need that bye to regroup and get back into it.
The problem, Dak, I guess, though, like you sort of said, Pat, every quarterback who's half decent gets paid a fortune. He has an opportunity, which is really irking Cowboys fans, because it seems like he's going to opt out of his deal, which pays him 40, looking for 50 in sort of this new QB world where anyone with a pulse is worth at least 45.
I would be doing the same thing, wouldn't you?
All across broken glass to give him $50 million next year, who aren't one of the 7 or 8 teams with established quarterbacks.
Yeah, imagine how good Atlanta would be if they had Dak.
Or like the Raiders or the Vikings or,
No, you see, I don't think there's that big of a difference, or at least a discernible difference between Kirk and Dak. I think Dak's better.
I mean, they're going to have all that money.
What?
They're letting Kirk walk, so they're going to have all that money.
Yeah, I understand that. But, like, they could just re-sign Kirk, too, and it would probably cost them less money, and they wouldn't be tied to him again forever. But I don't know if that's much of an upgrade going from Kirk to Dak. They're pretty break-even, I think.
Fine. Maybe that trash Packers team. If you put him on that trash Packers team, maybe they would win.
Someone did comment that Jordan Love's first pick last night was a pass in the NFL that you could throw.
Oh, that was bad. Oh. As someone who thought, we'll get to Green Bay when we get them, as someone who thought Green Bay might be kind of okay, that team, like the Lions basically have the division sewn up, and it is October 10th. Like, they already know they're playing a home game. The only question is, with the way the Niners are going, I just think that will they be the 2 seed or 3 seed at this point?
Washington and hot Atlanta. Atlanta's favored by 2.5 in this game at home. 42 is the total. I'm going to take the Commanders. The Falcons love being like marginal favorites in a game, still winning the game, yet not covering the spread. That happened against Green Bay. It happened against Houston last week. They're going to play close games again. And it's almost like the Chargers' logic of the Commanders will have a chance to win this game, but they might not. But even if they don't win it, they still might cover this 2.5. I'd probably wait until later in the week to bet this to see if it can get to 3, because I don't think it's going to go towards Washington, just based on what we saw from them a week ago. They can't block, but Arizona or Atlanta doesn't really get to the passer all that much. And it's been 10 days since Washington's played. They've had that extra rest. That's always somewhat beneficial. So I shall take the Commandos plus 2.5, Tim.
Solidarity.
Nothing, but I'm going to agree
and Tim,
say
thank you.
maybe tease Commanders and Chargers.
Does he speak for you?
No, I'm going to stand with my fellow doctor and fellow Jets fan and Ben Raza and take the Falcons here. We talked about on the live show when we figured out what the spread was. He was flabbergasted that Atlanta was only a 2.5 point underdog.
Yeah, but he's part of this Falcons cult.
I'm not a part of it, but I backed the Falcons last week. I think I had the right side.
You did. We watched that game. The Houston should have been up by 30 in the first half.
A very spirited drive at the end of the game from Stroud for the Falcons not to cover that game. I like the Falcons here too. I don't know if I'm in the cult of Falcons, but like,
no, I think Ben is.
He's a doctor of math. Are you?
No, Ben is really bright. I like him a lot. I tail him in like college football. I don't know anything. I could have no problem tailing Ben's bets. He actually tweeted last night, this bet is live. When he tweeted it, I called him crazy. It was Jacoby Myers' first touchdown parlayed with Christian Bezadenhout, who's 80 to 55 to 1 to win in golf this week. And I am like, that is a real life version of a dude playing scratchies at the gas station. but Myers got the first touchdown. So now he has Bezadenhout at like 750 to 1 to win the golf tournament this week.
Been the same odds that Mr. Tutton would have had to get his tour card.
Oh yeah, that's sad.
Did I assume you didn't watch the Sunday live show? Or did you know that Tim cursed poor King Tutton out of his tour card?
No, I didn't know that, but
That makes
if
sense.
anyone knows,
During the round, and that happened.
I watched it after the fact. Like I was watching the show maybe when I was home during Sunday Night Football, and I had bet Kelsey to score first touchdown because I'm a sucker for a tight end in prime time. So I was so happy when I saw that Tim actually did that, and it seems like everyone made a lot of money. And it seemed like you guys went off the air like 20 seconds before that actually happened.
It's true. Yeah, the moment we clicked stop, I went and talked to Paul for a minute to get everything set up and like rearrange the studio, and then boom, just notifications on my phone blowing up about Kittle scoring the first touchdown. And someone even had him score 3 touchdowns in the game at like 100 to 1.
How shocked we were about how many of those guys in Corn Ferry are sponsored by PXG? Like all of them.
All of them. All of them are sponsored by PXG, which, if you're in the minor leagues, you use PXG is what I took away from it.
It was really cool.
I guess it's a smart move by PXG if it gets their claws into them for their first couple years of PGA Tour.
Yeah. Are you taking Washington, Geoff?
I am, but I agree. It's funny. This could also be a Fienberg. Like I was feeling that as well. This is going to be a stupid game down to the second.
Would agree with you. You want to talk about a stupid game? Here's the next one. Vikings at Bears. Bears are 2.5-point dogs at home in this one. Both teams are 1-3-1 against the spread. I'm just going to take the Vikings because I think that they're better, but the Bears look good against the Commanders. They have had 10 days off. They are a home dog. Like, everything kind of points towards the Bears. And no Justin Jefferson for the Vikings. He's on IR. I have my doubts we're going to see him for the rest of the season because the Vikings might go into pure tank mode right now as well, because why wouldn't you? You have nothing left to play for. But I just think that the Bears have been propped up, having faced Denver one week and scoring a bunch of points and just absolutely mollywhopping the Commanders last week, who just didn't seem like they brought any talent to Chicago in that Thursday night game. I don't know what was wrong with them. They couldn't get a stop to save their lives. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Chicago's fixed. Fields is great. And all of a sudden there's a powerhouse offense. I'm not buying that. I think that Chicago is somewhat overinflated right now. And I still think the Vikings are going to be able to score points. So I will take the Kirk Cousins led Vikings, Geoff.
I'm just copying you.
Okay.
I feel the exact same way again about this one. You kind of laid it out for me. And I think what Sam Howell did in the second half, Kirk Cousins can do for at least 3 quarters.
The coin is taking Chicago. The coin was the only one of us to take Chicago last week, Tim.
Short list of SUPERLOCKS, and the Bears money line is on my parlay.
Ooh.
The Bears are 1-4, right? But the more you look at it, and I think maybe it was Ben again who sort of alluded to this in our show, and I then went back to look at it. We talked about the teams that maybe aren't as bad as we think they are. Like, they threw the game, they threw 2 consecutive games away very, very late against the Broncos and against who was the other team that they threw it, and the Buccaneers. Both of those games they had every chance to win and sort of threw away late. Like, they're 1-4, but they could just as easily be 3-2 right now with a chance to go 4-2 in the Raiders next week, 5-2. Like, the Bears are on a very thin line of like between being awful and being like the Steelers of the NFC, in the sense that, I don't know, man. I think without Jefferson on the road with a Vikings team that just seems like everything that can go wrong is going to go wrong for them. And in division, I'm getting a team coming off a mini bye, which is probably, right now equivalent in talent. And I'm getting points at home. I got to take the Bears, and I think the Bears are going to win a game.
The way that I look at it is that basically the Bucks have, or not the Bucks, unless you think that the Bucks are a good team, the Bears have just played like the bottom of the league and have been in rock fights with all of them. Be it the Broncos, I mean, they beat the crap out of the Commanders. The Commanders are not good. Like, they rank, like, per DVOA, The Broncos are 30th, the Bears are 29th, the Raiders are 28th, Washington's 26th, the Patriots are 27th. Like, there's no good teams on that list, and this is basically who the Bears are playing. They got ruined by the Chiefs. The Packers beat the shit out of them in week 1, and I mean, they couldn't really move the ball on the Bucs. You can say that they were in that game, and yeah, by the scoreboard they were, but they were not able to move the ball, and the moment they tried to move the ball, Fields threw a pick 6. So,
yeah, but you're right. The right team won, but I'm just saying that was a close affair. And yes, the Bears have played bad teams, but the Vikings are a bad team too. Like the Bears are continuing to play, to match up against fighters in their weight class. So,
but what I'm saying is that the Vikings, I think that the Vikings are out of their weight class. Now, I was completely wrong about this on Monday night because I thought the same thing about the Packers versus the Raiders. And it turns out the Packers are probably closer to the Raiders than I would have thought.
That's a fair point. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the Vikings are not just down, but they're trending even more downward, and things are going to get worse before they get better.
Like the only time that they've played a shitty team so far this year, they beat the crap out of Carolina.
Yes, they did. But look, they haven't got Jefferson, and the Bears just come off a big win, and they're rested. And I liked what I saw from Chicago on Thursday night. Like, yeah, Washington's bad, but the Bears played really good football. So let's go with it.
Are you trying to curse them because they blew up your money line parlay last week in the very first game?
They weren't the only ones. The Jags and the Bills and the Ravens did me in as well. So no.
This is true. Seattle and Cincinnati. Cincinnati favored by 3 at home. Joe Burrow, he's back, baby. Don't know about T. Higgins in this game, but they got the crocodile on a Trenton Irwin, Tim. Catching deep passes when it's not Jamar Chase. But it looks like Burrow's fine. I don't know if he got like a calf transplant or something, but he looked limber on Sunday in Arizona. Was not expecting that. But again, the Seahawks are coming off of the bye week after beating the crap out of the Giants on Monday Night Football. When Geno got hurt, everyone thought they had a bar of gold with their Drew Lock rookie cards. But then he went back to the bench and Geno came back in. So I assume he's going to be fine for this game. I like the Seahawks. +3 on the road. The Seahawks have been good on the road. And maybe a big beatdown of Arizona and Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow looking great is exactly what they need to light the fuse and get their season going to be an elite team again. Or, Jeff, it's just a mirage and they beat the crap out of a really bad team.
If we agree on the next game, I'm gonna just auto fade. You're
gonna simulate picks from this point out.
No, I don't want to be. I guess we're different on the Charger game, although you could take from that what you may. I do really like Seattle here. I feel like we are probably getting a discount because just like I felt like we were getting a discount on the Bengals last week playing Arizona, I feel like Seattle off a bye. That'll be a really tough test. Apparently, it's supposed to be a horrible weather game, Pat.
Oh.
Or at least it's way too early in the week for that. But that's what the weather nerds are saying, which I believe will be a big advantage, especially for Seattle here. So early in the week, I definitely lean Seattle. Could be real money lean.
Tim, did you end up seeing the thing that I texted you?
Yes, fantastic.
And as our friend, I sent it to our group text, and it just the one comment was, "Is Travis Kelce even the member of a fancy club?" Not good enough for her, Jeff.
Yeah, unless he's having $2,000 a plate Thanksgiving dinners, he does not in the right stratosphere.
Listen, he made a comment this week that being with her is better than winning the Super Bowl. So he is
in terms of money, I'm sure it is. His jersey sales through the roof.
Yeah, I don't know what he's referring to, but he's showing her a lot of respect. So that's a good thing.
And as her dad, that's what you want, right?
No, I still stand by my initial claim. Like, even some of the things he has said is really vulgar.
Like when he encouraged you to get the jab?
No, I'm not.
Is that what this is actually all about, Jeff? Is this all just boiled down to you and your Rumble bros upset that the Pfizer representative is, dating the world's most famous person?
I don't have any issue. I'm not involved in any of that Pfizer fight. I just
long as he's not trolling.
It's growing
as
on
long
me.
as he's not
It's growing
trolling-
on me.
As long as he's not on the internet trolling for clicks. When people say
It's
that drives
growing
me up the wall.
on me. It is fine. I'm sure she'll be at SoFi for the Chargers game in a couple weeks. It'll be lovely. It'll be lovely.
Tim, are you taking the Bengals or Seahawks?
Reluctantly Seattle. I'm really torn on this game. I could argue it round or square, but I feel like the line is just a little too short. A little too long. I think Seattle should not be getting the full 3. I think it should be 2.5. So I will take Seattle, but I don't love it.
Yeah, it's like
I still question the authenticity of a lot of it, but they both deserve. Everyone deserves to be happy.
That's very
not
nice.
Travis Kelce. He's not good enough.
No, he
for
does.
He had to go on a reality.
Interviewed on the Today Show. You know.
He had to go on a reality dating show. He can't be good enough.
I think that is low. I think that is low brow. Yeah.
Is that what you and Thurston Howell III chat about over dinner at your $2,500 a plate?
Don't make that a part of this. That is not a part of this.
Well, you know, if Taylor can't be dating someone of such low estate, yes, no, I certainly agree. But you pass the great Poupon.
And then
He probably doesn't even drive his Maserati to the stadium. He probably drives himself, actually. He doesn't have a drive.
Please, you think that there's people there driving Maz or some new money Maserati, Tim? Please.
No, you're right. They're driving
Bentleys.
Aston Martins or Bentleys or Rolls.
And Jay, they're sitting there with Geoff, and Geoff is like, there's a set of stairs over there that I might need to throw myself down on if the Chargers play on Thanksgiving next year. They're like, oh my God.
Right. But you know what? They have a lovely sports bar there. I think 2 floors above.
Where you can bet on highlight or polo.
It's fine. Everyone deserves to be happy.
Does your Rumble chat group agree about that?
No, I haven't been on Rumble in forever.
Have you gone even more underground?
Yeah.
No, things are all above ground.
Well, 8chan just got banned by the NFL. He might go to IR, so you have to step in and get something new now.
Oh. I don't remember where we were.
San Francisco and Cleveland is up next. The Browns are 5.5-point dogs at home in this game. The over-under is down to 37.5. The Brock said the Niners are undefeated and 4-1 against the spread. However, there is rumblings that Deshaun Watson still might not be ready for this game. They're not going to play DDT, Jake Roberts again. They're going to play PJ Walker, who apparently is also on the Browns, if that happens. I just give me the Niners. Give me the Niners less than a touchdown. I'm good with that. I will just keep betting the Niners every single week until they start looking shitty, which they have not yet, Geoff.
Yeah, I mean, doesn't this game feel like a trap?
Are the 49ers the trap, or is Cleveland the trap?
I mean, the point spread. Like, it should be higher. Watson still isn't practicing.
I mean, it's a lot of credit being given to the Browns defense, which is currently the best in football, which I understand completely. And if that's going to be the case, then yeah, maybe they can try to. I just think that the Niners offense is too good. It's too weird. It has too many big playmakers. Everyone's currently healthy, including the offensive line, and they don't make a ton of mistakes. And that's really the kicker right now. If you have a quarterback who might not have elite skills, like some of the very top end quarterbacks, if you just ask him to follow the game plan, and if it's not there, don't try to make something happen, it's hard for the Browns to score.
He's not just like doing the game plan. Whether it's game plan or his decision making, his ability to perfectly execute like down the field, intermediate routes, completely like a complete turnover. None of those balls look turnover worthy. I don't know, man. There's a level of decision making happening there that is just on top of anyone else to watch on Sunday afternoon, which is scary. You know, even Mahomes, he does these amazing things, but there's 2-3 plays a game where you're like, oh, it's just this much that way. Like, that's a pick six. And it never happens. He's the best. I'm taking San Fran, so I'm not pivoting off Pat's train because I didn't realize this game was next, and I'm not picking against them, even if I have copied Pat's whole board. I'm not picking against them. I'll find someone else to pick against.
You gonna pick on them, Tim?
No, the Niners are also on my money line parlay. I think the spread is too low. I've now decided that at 15-1, the 49ers to go undefeated is the bet to make. I think the Niners are not going to lose any games in this regular season. I make no predictions about what will happen in the playoffs. But I just look at that schedule and I look at the way that team is playing. They have to play the Eagles. That's really the last hurdle I'm worried about. I think the Niners are going to win all their games.
I don't know about that.
I do. Well, fair enough. It's still a 15-1 thing to happen. But I've seen enough that if this team can just particularly if they stay healthy, who's beating them in the regular season? I just don't see anybody who has the horses for it. The Niners seem so perfectly balanced on both sides of the ball.
Oh, no.
They could lose. I don't know, like Washington ended the Eagles. They don't even want to go undefeated. Like when the Eagles lost that game last year, we all kind of had the same reaction. Like that's kind of really good for the Eagles. They went to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
I'm telling you, I don't see it.
I don't know. Hold on. Now that Tim has said that they're going to go undefeated and thinks you should bet that because they're so healthy, they're going to lose like 8 guys this week.
But Pat, like I'm staring at the schedule, so now I'm kind of playing the game, like trying to pick the game that they could lose.
Mm-hmm.
Other than the Eagle game, because that would be the obvious choice. Like, I don't know. Maybe a Thursday night in Seattle just getting got on some randomness.
Yeah, you get got by the Rams at some point. There's always like a fluky Arizona game in there where, Kyler Murray. Is that Kyler Murray's music? He's back and he just runs around for a while and they end up winning like 20-18. You can get got. Anyone can get got. Like even last year when Washington beat Philadelphia, like Washington was trash last year.
Well, they went 8-1 and they nearly made the playoffs. They weren't good.
That was a primetime game, right?
And they didn't make the playoffs in a very down NFC when 3 other teams.
Yeah, that was a Monday night game.
Made it. Yeah,
so I do believe a primetime game is where where you're most likely to get got because the other team, it's like their Super Bowl.
Yeah, but we saw the Giants and the Cowboys both play the Niners in primetime and will get their doors blown off.
No, I mean like later in the year where it's the 49ers have I don't know. Things are locked up and another team has their Super Bowl. If that makes any sense.
I do see what you're saying. I mean, I understand it's a long shot when I say it's 15-1, but I just look at the schedule and they have Seattle on a primetime game, the Ravens on a Monday on Christmas Day, and that's kind of it.
This is less egregious than you thinking your suicide pick was 50-50.
Thank you. I will take that. Thank you.
And this is 15-1. So put that in perspective.
Fair enough. But yeah, I've seen enough from San Francisco to think I don't see them lose. There's no game I would predict them to lose this season. So why not just come out and say it?
If you do think that you winning Survivor could be 50-50 and you still believe that, you can play in a brand new Survivor League. A restart Survivor starting in week 7, but registration is open right now. It's completely free to play. There's $5,000 up top. Probably be split by a few people, but hey, maybe you can be the one person who ends up winning, taking that $5,000 for yourself in free money because it is free to play. The link is down in the description. It's on the League Safe app, which I've been encouraging everyone to play because the Pat Mayo experience, pick 'em questions, and another free game that's in there that has $1,000 in the pot every week. You should really just get the League Safe app because they're just giving you free money. Now, it's probably just a way to get your email address because that's all these things are for. But hey, you might as well get some money in exchange for it and see if you can beat me, Tim, and Geoff in Survivor. All right, link is down in the description right now. Carolina and Miami. 13.5 is the spread in this game right now. I think the Panthers are friskier than others would have you believe. Now, there's no Achane for this game. He might go on injured reserve. Jeff Wilson may be back. The Dolphins' critical error last week, as I pointed out to Tim as we were watching the game in real time, was if they just tried to stop forcing the ball to Jalen Waddle, then maybe Tua wouldn't throw any picks ever. But it's like they felt a need to Tyreek's having this amazing season. Everyone's talking about Tua in the running back. Like, we need to make Waddle feel like he's involved too. So they just tried to force everything to him, and he ended up with the touchdown. That was that was nice for him. But the other throws that Tua had trying to jam it into him was just not good at all. I still think Miami's defense is absolute trash. And unlike the Giants last week, like the Giants just legitimately cannot block anyone. I think I saw they were on pace to give up like 25% more pressures than the NFL highest of last year, which is completely insane. It's not to say that Carolina's offensive line is any good. It's not. Their defense is not all that good, but they do have a pass rush. So I think that the big play limitations will be there unless Hill goes completely off on like 80-yard touchdowns the entire time. And if they just drop Bryce Young back into spread, he has 3 receivers. One of them's a deep threat that Miami, this game just reeks of backdoor cover to me, where the Giants couldn't do it last week, but it was on the table for them to do it. They just wouldn't take the backdoor cover. I think that Carolina is in line to do that this week. Now, Geoff, you don't have to agree with me because you love big favorites now.
I feel like I picked Miami every game this year other than week 1. But on my new strategy, I should have picked them week 1. Pat, I don't know that you could convince me to bet the Panthers, but you could convince me to not bet Miami. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah. No, you don't want to, you're afraid enough to just stay away.
Yeah. And in a crowded slate, like and when I say, like, I never like playing big spreads with real money. I just mean for the purposes of this season, it does feel like a lot of them have come home. For the most part, I'm still picking Miami, but Carolina last week, I guess what I would say is I saw an ability for Carolina to backdoor games when they're down 17 points.
Carolina
if
fourth.
the spread is big enough.
Yeah, Carolina's 4th in the league in adjusted sack rate right now, which is odd because they don't face that many passing attempts outside of the first quarter because teams get up on them by so much. But they still have 14 sacks through the first 5 games of the year. That's not nothing. So I think they'll be able to challenge a pretty weak Dolphins offensive line, not to the extent that the Bills did when the Bills were able to dominate them, but it's just one of these situations where I think that they can get enough pressure to make it not competitive. I don't think that Carolina's at risk to win this game, but to be down by 21 and score a late touchdown to cover that spread, Tim, I think they're absolutely live.
I don't agree. The Panthers are the 30th in offense and 29th in defense. That is not a recipe for a team to be able to catch up or catch the Dolphins, whose defense is less than perfect.
Catch a backdoor. You didn't say catch.
I don't know, but I mean to catch that backdoor, which have to get like a late touchdown to sort of do it.
It means you have to stay within 20, and then the Dolphins aren't trying in the last 4 minutes.
Yeah, I don't see it though. I just don't see it, and I like the Dolphins here.
And
I don't trust Bryce Young right now to do it. I don't think the offensive weapons are there. I think the offense is putrid. I don't see it.
Did you take the Dolphins as well, Geoff?
I did take the Dolphins, and
Panthers are 18-1 to be 0-17. By the way,
they're not going to be 0. They play in a division with the Saints, the Bucks, and the Falcons. They're going to win one of those games.
They also don't have their
play
first
the
round
Bears?
pick. So while it's gone horrible for them, and I used them as my last pick in our team draft, and I thought maybe they're not going to be this bad. That doomsday scenario that we spoke about every time we talked about them all offseason, it's coming to fruition. I mean, it is a doomsday scenario they are staring in the face.
Yeah, so the Carolina's going to pick up a win somewhere. I only say this because they have the Texans, they have the Colts, they have the Bears outside of their division. They also have the Titans, and they have the Packers. Like, they could win one of those 5 games, too. Like, those are all kind of bad teams. Like, I like the Colts, I like the Texans, but I'm not going to sit here and argue that they're great teams by any measure. Parlay those together. What does the parlay pay, Tim? Can you parlay those together?
I don't know that you can.
I can see them limiting that.
That would be fun, though.
Sure. Here's one.
Waiting.
The next 2 games, it's funny, I just mentioned these 2 teams. These 2 games are on the short list for my SuperLocks. Indianapolis at Jacksonville. The Jags are 4.5-point favorites at home. Minshew walk starting at quarterback for the Colts. Love the Colts in this game. Give me the Colts plus 4.5. It was nice. It was fun for the Jags. They get a nice win against the Buffalo Bills on technically the road in what I think is their home stadium in London, but they got the extra week in London. They've been in London for 2 weeks now, and They did look somewhat impressive last week against the Bills. They were able to run the ball far more effectively than I thought they were going to be able to. And I don't know if the Bills are down to, I think their best member of the secondary now is actually a hologram, and he can't tackle. It's just like when Manti Te'o used to miss tackles, and we used to refer to it as him giving his girlfriend a hug. But that's what the Bills secondary is at this point. Like, you can kind of pass all over them and get open when you need to get open, and that's what the Jags were able to accomplish. They had a very good game plan. They played good enough on D to keep it going. I just think the Colts are going to be able to run the ball all over Jacksonville. I think that their offensive line right now is looking better than the Bills, and the back end of their secondary is looking better than the Bills is right now. So I think the Jags overall are probably a better team, but this feels like a field goal game to me. Coin flip down either way. So I'll take Indianapolis plus 4.5, and the coin will take Jacksonville. So I'm going against the coin on this one. One of you can talk.
That's my fault because I'm usually quick to talk, and Tim was maybe leaving it for me. I as well feel quite passionately about this game, Pat, and it is on the same side as you. And it's very less X's and O's for me as it is
Janes and Joes.
No, this is just a sandwich game.
Yes.
They just played back-to-back weeks in England, are not taking a bye, play Thursday next week. I'm speaking of the Jaguars. So it was great. And even when the schedule came out, we acknowledged that second game in England is probably one of the greatest spot games we've ever seen, or worst spot games we've ever seen from the Bills' perspective. And not only did that come to fruition, it's actually quite sad how that horrible spot game is going to have long-lasting injury ramifications as it pertains to Buffalo. That is incredibly unfortunate. But there's nothing about the teams that I care to break down other than I agree with you. The Colts will run through them if they want, potentially. But they've already beaten the Colts. They just were in England for 2 weeks. This is not a bye week. Thursday next week. I think Jacksonville is going to look like they're on a bye week on our television. So I like your potential call of maybe spotlighting this as a super lock. I won't copy you there, though.
Yeah, I think a decent teaser game as well, because I think Minshew, in a revenge game, mind you, might be able to keep it somewhat close, or at least keep it within a touchdown from that perspective. Maybe I'll be completely wrong, Tim, but I could just envision the Jags offense looking like it did against the Chiefs, just flat.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I had something to add here beyond what you guys said, but I am in complete agreement with you both. It's a terrible spot game of the Jaguars' own choosing. After playing in England for 2 weeks and then having to go to New Orleans next week and a divisional game, and you're giving the Colts, who are, look spry every week, over a field goal. Yeah. Well, the Colts seem to be the smart play here. I agree with you guys.
New Orleans and Houston. It's in Houston. Houston is a 1.5 point favorite coming into this game. 42.5 is the total. That seems high, to tell you the truth. I love the Texans. Saints are bad. And the Saints are only favored in this game because they beat the crap out of the shitty Patriots. The Texans are better than the Saints. The Texans aren't even going to try. If they try to run the ball, then it's going to be a problem because that's a tough scene for anyone trying to do that on the Saints. However, I think that C.J. Stroud can pick apart this defense. We've seen even the offensive line come back. That's been at least last week, he had a ton of time to throw. They couldn't get it into the end zone once they got into the red zone. And field goals might be good enough to beat the Saints in that situation. So if the Texans can get to 17 points, they probably win this game. So I will go with the Texans plus 1.5 at home, Tim.
So I don't agree with you on very much there. Saints are by the numbers, Saints are 11th or 12th overall in DVOA. They are a decent team. They play fantastic defense. They are playing a road game, but indoors and very close to home. That's probably, if not the shortest physical road trip, one of the shortest physical road trips you can take, New Orleans to Houston.
What do you think, they're driving to the game?
No, but it's a super short trip. I don't know. I think the Texans, this is like top of the market value. This is like buying a house in 2022 value to take the Texans. I just think it's too expensive. I think the play is to take the Saints here. I think they're undervalued. I think the Saints should be 3.5 point favorites. They're significantly better than the Texans, and the number doesn't reflect that. I like the Saints here.
I think that the Saints get propped up because they keep beating shitty teams.
Well, but like here we are. Like I wouldn't say that the Texans are a crappy team, but the Texans are they're an okay team at best.
I would say that, but I think that they have the potential to get better every single week as Stroud just continues to look really good and make really good decisions every single week, and now they're getting a little bit healthier. Although, no Tank Dell in this game. That's going to be a problem for some of the deep plays, but I just have no faith in the Saints offense. They posted a number, Geoff, on your New England Patriots last week.
Yeah.
And did they even have 300 yards of offense? Like their only play is dump off to Kamara.
It'll work, and it could probably work again in this game, Pat. I really like the Saints in this game. Rookie quarterback who's been outstanding going into a dome. I mean, they won so convincingly last week, but people, how do you put this? People are just so down on New England, and fairly, and I'm going to eat the crow. I've been, holding it in, but I got to eat it, and I'm preparing to eat it after Cust Corner coming up in a little bit, I'm sure. The Saints aren't even probably getting the credit they deserve, and they're not going to need to score more than 2 touchdowns to win this game. I love CJ Stroud. They're doing a lot of fun things.
If that's the case, you should bet your mortgage on the under.
Maybe I will. I was going to ask you, what do you think what is the Texans team total here? Because the Saints are going to do to them what they've done to every team, which seems like for 2 straight years. I do not see CJ Stroud, a rookie, being the exception to solving this Saints defense and being a team that finally puts up 21 points on them, or 18 points on them for that matter. It won't take much for the Saints to win this game. I like them a lot.
I think that the Saints have real trouble scoring.
That is a real concern, but
when was the last time, do you think, outside of last week, because they put up 34 last week, so that was the first time they put up more than 17 points in a game this season, playing such illustrious defenses they scored 20 against the Panthers. My mistake. 16 against the Titans at home, 18 against a really shitty Packers defense, 9 against the Buccaneers. I'm not saying this Texans defense is great, but they do get to the passer. The offensive line for the Saints has not been absolute lockdown like maybe we thought it was going to be, and Carr looks bad, actively bad. That I don't think that you have to get to 20 points to beat the Saints.
Saints 17, Texans 10.
Okay.
Yeah, I like it.
I mean, 14-13 Texans, something like that. All right, hell, make it 14-13 Saints. Still get that cover. That would be nice. Yeah. Anyway, I like Houston a lot here. I'm just very anti-New Orleans, especially in that division. I just think that they're being overrated. Because listen, you can win a ton of games against bad teams because of having a great defense, and this would qualify to be one of those games, but this is just more of a bet that I think that the Texans' offense is on the up and up, and they severely underachieved last week when they should have scored way more points. And the Saints scored way more points than they should have last week against the Patriots, and they get a lot of good. When you look at DVOA, one thing that's not weighted in necessarily yet, and probably will be in the coming weeks once it goes a little bit further along, is that the Saints offense will get a lot of credit, and they will get a lot of credit because of what they did to the Patriots defense, which is still rated pretty well, but we know is just not going to be good from this point forward after they lost their 2 best guys.
Yeah, that's a very fair point.
All right. Anyway, that's the midway point of the show. I encourage people once again to play in the Restart Survivor League. Starts in week 7, but you can go get your spot right now down in the description. So please go do that. It would help me out a ton. Subscribe to the newsletter while you're here too, because it is time for Cust Corner.
Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. He's got the hottest takes with the highest stakes. He should be president of the United States, but it's Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. Cust Corner,
I have like a potpourri of things. Since one of my ideas was already used up earlier in the show, we won't revisit Geoff's multi-million-dollar Thanksgiving brunch. I was going to talk about, I don't need to hear from all of you people, and it's people on Twitter and through text, that today is Prime Day and all the deals that I could be getting on Amazon. You know that I don't have the Prime accounts. You know I don't know how to do that. Why are you folks telling me about all these great deals when you know that A, I have no ability to take advantage of them, and B, I'm not interested? So why are you telling me all about this? I don't understand it. Like, if you want to go buy your Christmas presents in October through a Prime or whatever, go do it. Have fun. Enjoy. But what's the point of telling me about it? No one needs to know.
Two things. One, your theme song was bought off of me to use in the Amazon commercial. So people are just associating you with Amazon Prime Days with do 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 do.
Yeah, don't think I haven't noticed that.
Cust. So there's that part of it. Number two, you come off like the cheapest person alive who's like a value hunter that, hey, here's some good deals, Top Cat. Maybe you should take advantage of them.
But the people sending me that know I don't have the access to the Prime.
But,
and
but you have an
that.
assistant who orders things for you, right?
Yes, I do.
So can't you just forward it to your assistant?
I probably could, but I'm not going to go through all. I don't have that, okay? I'll wait until Boxing Day to get my sales or till Black Friday because I'm a normal person. I don't need to be running around taking advantage of all the quote-unquote great deals on Prime right now. If you like them, great. Go for it. I'm not belittling them. That you enjoy, but it's not for me. And people sending me that, no, it's not for me.
Yeah, but maybe
they're trying to get me riled up.
They're not trying to get you riled up. They're saying, Tim, there's great deals out here. You can do this. It sounds like they're being supportive of you, but you don't want to take their support. You'd just rather be mad. It sounds like you're like these people after Trump was elected president, and they just couldn't get over the fact that Trump was elected, and they just decided to be mad for 4 years. That's you with this.
No, I don't think that's similar at all.
Yeah, you're just
people
mad.
know that I don't have.
Well, but you could. They think that you have the ability to download the Amazon app or go to Amazon.com and sign up. They think that you have the potential to do that.
I'm not
They
gonna do
believe
that.
in you.
Dude, that is the sort of attitude. Turning down savings is the sort of attitude that's going to keep you out of those buffets, Tim.
Well, I somehow doubt my ability to attend one of those buffets hinges on my Amazon. I'm sure many of the attendees there have never personally been on Amazon either.
I'm sure they have.
No, I bet
you realize like rich people aren't like from the industrial like revolution age anymore. Like they have phones and can like use Amazon.
Their personal shoppers have been on Amazon for them. They have no.
In fact, at the club that you go to, you can just get a personal shopper there to do your shopping for you while you're at the club. Correct, Geoff?
Yeah, they've got all sorts of amenities. I'm not familiar with that sort of stuff.
Yes, you are.
But on your own, but on your own time. Listen, rich people don't like spending. You don't get, as Bill Gates in cartoon form once said, I don't get rich by writing checks. Like if you can just do it from your phone and you want some, just order it right away. Then there's no no middleman.
I know there's like on-site car detailing.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
While you're on property.
Fuck, I would love that. It's
like
so hard.
While you're on property, they'll take care of that for you. And
that's my biggest gripe about not living in like a real city anymore, where you can get like real things. Like the people who would come and pick up my laundry, do my laundry, fold it, and deliver it back to me. That was great. That service doesn't exist here. That sucks. I really don't like that.
I thought that's what the TaskRabbit was for.
I mean, that's like a random person coming to your house.
And to do whatever task you ask.
They're not, well, I don't know if laundry, maybe laundry is. I never considered laundry to be on that list.
Well, but if that's something you don't want to do.
Hold on. The fact that you brought up TaskRabbit, it's been a while since we've even mentioned TaskRabbit. What other things do you have written down or like in your head that you think that you would, if you could use the app, that you would hire someone to do for you?
Oh, everything.
Like what?
Like take my car. Like, for example, I'm one of these people who never gets gas when they're supposed to. I always say I'll get it tomorrow. I'd love, while I was working at home someday, to just be able to have somebody just drive my car to the gas station, put gas in my car, and bring it back to me.
That's something you would pay for someone to do.
I mean, I would already pay for full service if it was available, so sure.
Well, full service is 2 cents a liter. On TaskRabbit, you're probably looking at like $40 for someone to do that.
Okay, that's too much.
Well, people don't just want to show up and do something for $5.
Fair enough.
But car detailing would be the biggest thing, Geoff, because I would love
to have my I'd love my car.
Because I don't like that I have to go drive it somewhere. make my appointment, they're always late with it. So I don't have the time just to sit there for 2.5 hours and wait for them to finally get to my car, do the full detailing and wait around. And then, I have to Uber somewhere, go to my office, work for a bit, then Uber back. They could just come to my house, take my car, like they would in Toronto, or even when I lived in New Jersey, they would do this for me, that they could come, get my car, bring it to wherever they need to bring it to do the detailing, or do the detailing there if they bring their stuff with them, and then just bring it back to me. That sounds like a big win-win, but no, not here, Geoff. It's awful.
I see my neighbors have this service where these car detailers show up in a van and they do it in their driveway.
Yeah, that happens around here. People show up in a van and might do it in your driveway, but they might try to live there the entire time.
Yeah, they obviously don't have maybe the premium equipment or whatever to do it, but saying I feel like that's sort of a more common thing that
I used to get it done when I lived by you. I can't get it done here.
Yeah.
Sucks.
Fair enough. If you're not on the bridle path like Geoff, you're not able to get this sort of stuff done.
Did Prince ever sell his house on the bridle path?
I bet you people who are members of that club, Jeffrey, live on the bridle path.
Tim, it is like a 3-minute walk from the bridle. It is probably a lot. I'm not one of those people. I can't walk there. And I don't live on the bridle path, Tim, beside Drake.
Is there anything that you think that you would want? Like we sent you earlier, you can buy a high-end air fryer right now on Amazon Prime, Tim, for $189.
Well, I don't even know what I would use a high-end one for.
I mean,
it's not clear to me what the difference between other than having multiple baskets for different times. That I understand.
That's what it has.
Outside of that,
that's the high-end one.
I don't know. Still haven't been convinced fully on the air fryer. We still has to pass a few more
You're
trials.
full of shit.
We haven't done any meats
Dude,
yet.
you're like anyone watching you go. I don't even mean offensive. I'm sure the food is yummy. I'd eat 3 pogos, so I'm not insulting you when I say this, but the way your hand just keeps going back to the trays, you're not satisfied yet. You're like a dude who eats his whole meal at a restaurant and it says, waiter, come here, and then has a complaint and is looking for some freebie.
That's exactly it. He's not sold. He thinks that if he decides to get an air fryer, that we won't make him food on the show anymore. We will continue to make you food, Tim. It's fine. I think it's a fun part of the show. That doesn't mean that you can't get an air fryer.
It still has to pass a couple more trials.
Do you really think that we're going to come in the studio? You are basically Howard Hughes when it comes to germs. You want us to bring raw chicken into the studio and make it in here for you and then serve it to you? That's what you want?
Well, I mean, if you're taking it from the kitchen in the house to the studio, it's 10 steps. I think it could be done.
Yeah, but then you have to Paul will have to handle the raw chicken. There's nowhere to wash your hands in here. So then he'll probably end up having to flip it over with a tongue. Maybe he'll get some salmonella on it. It's far more.
Use a fork. Use a fork.
It seems like your germ phobia really goes out the window when you really want something, huh?
Well, no, use a fork or a pair of tongs.
Yeah, I understand that, Tim. He's handling raw chicken. It's not very sanitary to be doing it by where we also edit the show, and in a studio that hasn't been cleaned in 2 years.
It's pretty dusty.
It's what are you talking about?
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that those are all challenges.
But we should overcome those challenges to continue to feed you on something. What?
But he can't overcome the challenge of making a phone call.
It's nothing to do with that. I just would like to see what meat looks like coming out of the air fryer. It's the last test.
I just mean the hoops you want people to jump through for you, but the most simple elementary thing, you act like it's the biggest ask we've ever laid on you.
I don't think that's what's going on here at all.
Yeah.
I've said every week, if I gave Pat my phone to dial the number and handed me the phone, I would do it.
And also, Pat, I love how he wants, as you saw by the comments last week, people were really upset with Tim trying to cap shows. Tim thinks he's a program director from sports talk radio and it's a schedule and we got to be off the air by a certain time because the next show is starting.
He is admitted defeat on that.
I will take the L on that. The only reason I usually ever go into the comments is to see what you, Geoff, are fighting about people with in the comments. But this time, because I knew they were going to weigh in on this, I wanted to see what, and look, it was resounding that you people are sick and you want this thing to be 14 hours long. And so, fair enough. I have to admit defeat on that one. That's what you want.
Yeah, but it's also insulting to Pat, who does this content. Like, Pat just wouldn't have us drone on. Like,
he doesn't have any other. He has no other shows that even approximate.
Yeah, but he has a keen sense of when to move it along, end a show.
He sure does. But at the same time, I just felt like we were being opulent and self-indulgent. And I think we still were being self-indulgent to go over 3 hours for a football podcast. But if people want that, then fair enough. That's what they're interested in. I have to admit, that's what they want. I also want to say to Geoff, I'm at 33,000 points right now.
What?
And
Jesus
I was
Christ.
at next.
Holy shit!
I have won 10,000 free points, and I won another 10,000 free points at polls. I'm up to 33,500 points, and I was at like 1,000 before this thing began.
Okay, so in my opinion, Tim, and I'm sure you have.
We're talking about McDonald's, Monopoly, and app points. If you
but
into what we were talking
just
about,
getting inside baseball here, because I'm sure you've analyzed this. I believe on the reward system, the best bang for your buck is the 4,000 points for the fries, and you can make those a large for no charge, and you get your stickers.
Yeah, this is what is it. Yes, I agree with you. I've now won enough points that I can get free extra value meals, all of which will have points other than the fries which you have to upsize.
That's an insane amount of points.
It is an insane amount of points, but like I said,
I don't even think the points bar at the top of the page
it doesn't
goes that high.
It tops out at 14,000.
So you are double what they expect, like even their most hardened consumer to have.
Absolutely, but like I said, I won 10,000 points, and then I either won 5 or 10,000 again. But I won a bunch of free points on polls. So like, not only am I set almost everywhere, and when I set, I mean, if now that I can look at my digital game board here, which is so great, I am set at every single color. Oh, no, I'm set at them all. I have 2 yellow, 2 red, 2 green, 1 blue, 1 brown, 2 light blue, 2 fuchsia, 2 orange. I'm set at, and I have 3 of the airports, which are the railroads. I am now set at all the various properties, and I've won a ton of points. It is now time, and I've put in a lot of ballots on some of the good winners. So now we're down to the real hunt, where all that's like the easy pickings have been done. The first week is about like collecting all the easy properties to collect. Now it's the grueling hard work of rolling up your sleeves, working hard, and finding one of those diamonds in the rough. And breakfast is where the value is. Like that $8 for that bacon and egg McMuffin meal. A, it's by far probably the lowest calorie meal you're going to get that has stickers. B, it's the cheapest. Like it is like, I think a bacon and egg McMuffin meal with a black coffee is like 400 calories or something, 500 calories. Like it's nothing.
I'm sorry, what? It's a bacon and egg McMuffin?
Yeah, bacon and egg McMuffin meal. So it comes with a hash brown and a black coffee. I think it can't be very much. Probably like 500 calories.
You don't think that 500 calories is a lot for breakfast with 2 little things that you eat?
Well, I had 3 things if you include the black coffee.
You're not really eating the black coffee. The bacon and egg McMuffin has 325 calories in it. And didn't we looked last week at the hash brown? It's something like ungodly, isn't it?
No, I don't think it is actually.
Hash brown nutrition is 160. So yeah, you're right around 500. Yeah. That's a lot.
That is a pittance compared to just about every other combo meal that you could choose to get stickers for.
I get, yes, if you're thinking about it in the parlance of getting stickers, maybe, but that's a lot of fat, man. There's a lot of saturated fat in that. Like not all calories are created equal here. It's
you're
like,
right. No, I understand.
Just like it's like my example of a banana versus 5 Doritos.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. I can see that point. Just saying, like if you're going for the lowest calorie amount, best bang for your buck, I think that's the sweet spot.
Why wouldn't you just order like 5 coffees?
Well, my theory is that the best stuff is not going to be on the coffees.
But do you
I
have
think the coffee is probably-
do you have any reason to believe that?
They're the probably most purchased breakfast item with stickers every day at McDonald's would be the coffee. So I feel like the
Why don't you
likelihood.
just buy 5 coffees and bring them to work and give them to your coworkers?
That's what I
Well,
said.
no, I don't. What I'm saying is, I think.
Oh,
that the
because they
Egg
won't give you
McMuffins-
their stickers.
No. Well, no, it's not that. I just think the food products are where the best prizes are going to be, not on the drinks.
Do you think that they go through? Because I mean, you watch McMillions. That when it was rigged, the game pieces weren't even in there. But you think that there is someone like a Mr. Monopoly, rich Uncle Pennybags is in there being like, oh no, we can't put that elite piece on a coffee. It needs to go on a large fries or something like that. Pretty sure it's completely
100%
randomized.
because people on Reddit boards.
So you would think
So
it'll
you-
be on a Big Mac because that's like the signature item of McDonald's.
And
So
this is
I
what.
have a
And hold on.
theory-
Did you just reference people on Reddit that you're talking to about McDonald's Monopoly pieces and the theories that they have of where to find the good ones? Have these people won anything?
Like, I'm not going to dignify that. In like the 20 pack of nuggets, like I think that's where the winners are probably coming out of. Or the double Big Mac because it has a different box.
yeah, but 20 McNuggets have 4 stickers. That's more.
it
stickers
does
than
have 4
any
stickers.
item.
It does have 4 stickers, but it's a lot of that's a lot of McNuggets.
Did
Can I
you-
just say
no,
it's a lot of McNuggets in one
did you
sitting? That's a
know-
lot of McNuggets.
Did you know that? I mean, I didn't do it today because Paul's not here. Shout out Megan behind the camera, filling in for Paul today. Shout out to Paul. We're thinking about you, pal. And we have been going to McDonald's to get our coffees every morning. And just behind here, we've been saving all the stickers, not even looking at them, and doing
Aw,
a break.
thank you.
Well, I didn't say they're for you,
Oh.
but they're going to be a part of the show at some point with you here. We haven't looked at them yet.
Just give me the chance to put them into my app first.
No. You'll get to see what
That's
they
been
are,
a lot
too.
of fun. Okay.
But
That's been a lot of fun.
But that
too,
doesn't mean,
the
yeah,
whole
I mean,
new
you get to
stuff.
see what the stickers are. It doesn't mean that you get the stickers.
Okay.
Because as Paul said,
I-
he doesn't want to win a truck and then have you just take it.
Pat, you should cut off the barcode at the bottom of the sticker so he can't enter it.
Don't do that. No, don't do that. Not only would you ruin the piece, that you need the numbers and the letters. How have you been doing, Geoff? Where are you at in the contest?
I went the other day. I got my kids some Happy Meals and I couldn't resist buying food for myself because of stickers. So
Yes, I know. It's addictive.
I won a $10 skip like Uber Eats gift card. So I thought that was a win. You look at those sorts of things as a loss though, because you just want like properties.
No, that's not true. He was jealous about the guy who had some sort of like digital camera $20 gift certificate that he would never be able to figure out how to use.
I just want to win all those things.
10,000 points. Like there's no way there's a higher point giveaway than 10,000 points.
I can't imagine that. I squealed. I'll admit it. I squealed when I won the 10,000 point because it was so exciting. And it came on a
So wait, so
property
hold
piece, too.
on. It was so exciting. You got the 10,000 McDonald's points, and that's good for what, like 2.5 medium fries?
It's like most of the way to an extra value meal. Like that was a big piece, and like Geoff knows, I don't like
Where
when
did you
when
squeal? Like in public?
No, I was in my car. I couldn't wait. I was in my car. There's this back part of the parking lot near the McDonald's where I've been going, where I can quietly just zip back there where no one's bothering me, and there's a nice light overhead so that I can
That's your
sneak in
ripping
the-
spot?
Yeah, it's just a good spot. So I've even got a lucky parking spot right now.
A lucky
There's
parking
probably like
spot.
a dude who smokes back there.
Yeah,
and
there's a guy doing crack in the bushes, and Tim's big smile ripping his McDonald's pieces.
It just the thing is, like, it's been a lot of fun this year, and I've been winning more this year. I've noticed I've won a lot of like point bonuses, and I'm hoping to win one of the big prizes. I've got like, how many ballots do I'll tell you right now. I'll go right into the system. I wonder how many ballots I have in the. Oh, I don't have any prizes to claim, so I can't tell. But it's got to be like 40 ballots on just one of the things.
How
Oh,
many-
I'll tell you right now. I have 24 entries to one of the ballots. I have 11 into another one. I have 10 into another one.
I gotta ask. It's been a week. How many times have you been to McDonald's?
It's a good question because I haven't gone at all the last couple of days because of Thanksgiving. I haven't been since Saturday morning. So 1, 2, 3, 4.
So you went an insane amount last week.
You were doing two a
You
day.
haven't been since Saturday.
until Saturday.
Did you
No,
do
I
it?
stopped.
I have to ask. Did you do a 3 a day at one point?
No. Well, I mean, what define 3 a day?
That you went to McDonald's 3 separate times to get something.
Okay, yes, but one of those times was just a coffee.
Okay, but Pat, do you realize you also get bonus points on the app for making
Yes.
like it says if you go like 4 times this week, you get 500 bonus points, and he's going
Like-
4 times, 3 times in a day.
Oh, I keep winning.
I don't know what's a lower form of addiction. This or like legitimate the pulling of the 3 cherries like at the convenience store.
But like
Hey.
I said, I haven't gone since today is Tuesday evening, and I have not darkened its door since Saturday morning.
And
Okay,
you-
but can I
but
tell you
somehow, so
something?
that means in 4 days you got like 30,000 McDonald's points.
Well, but again, I won a lot of free points,
Well, you got 10,000 in free points.
and then I won another 5,000. I'm
So you
pretty
got-
sure in free points.
So you still have another 25,000 to make up?
Yeah, something like that, plus the bonus points. And yeah, something like that.
But here's the thing, Pat, or I should say to Tim, how do I put this? Because you enter like every single thing onto the app, they realize what an excessive buyer you are, and
You're a preferred customer.
their algo could almost be working against you now, knowing you're just like a mark.
What do you mean?
Like they would rather one of the elite pieces go to someone like me who might not even look at it and throw it out.
Well, they don't have any control over what pieces.
Oh,
like
now
the
they
double
don't have
deal
any control.
prizes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Which
I see
is
what you're
it?
saying. Well, they do. You're saying the double peel prizes could be fixed.
There you go.
Yeah, because your algorithm is showing them this guy's like here 3 times a day. We don't know how to grease him at
I
all.
am
He's coming.
so going when this podcast is over, by the way. I am so going.
What are you going to get? Is it because you're jealous of Jeff's buffet?
I mean, I am very jealous of Jeff's buffet.
You can make your own buffet. Give us is there a prefix menu for your McDonald's buffet? This could be
Ooh,
like
a
an event
McDonald's?
that you hold in town. If we have enough people in the Halifax area who watch the show or listen to the show, we can do the very first annual Cust McDonald's buffet. And you give
Like
us the
a
menu.
Trump. It's like a team won a national championship during the Trump administration.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You got I think your best burger, which is the quarter pounder with cheese. That's up there.
Did you
so
know, I read this, and it might not be true because it was on the internet, but I'm going to say it's true, that at one point they tried to get rid of the quarter pounder. I think it was some point in the early 90s, and they made it into like a third pounder, but people didn't realize that a quarter pounder was less than a third.
Yes.
They thought a third was less
I
than a quarter.
believe
That's
that-
a big extra.
That
No, I
is super
believe-
sharp stuff there from people.
No, I believe A&W came out with a third pound burger.
Ah, okay.
And it didn't sell as well because people thought the quarter pounder at McDonald's was bigger. I believe that's what it was.
I hope it wasn't Dr. Ben Raza, doctor of math, who thought that.
They've even got some coupes this year, Jeff, to tempt you. Coupes that are not sticker coupes. Like right now, they're offering the cheeseburger at $2.49. Like usually, I'd be all about that, but no, I can't touch it.
What are you talking about?
Like right now on the app, you can go get a cheeseburger for $2.49, but you get no stickers for that. None.
So it's bad value, is what you're saying.
Well, just they're
What's
trying
a cheeseburger regularly? $2.70?
I don't know. I
Like,
don't buy the cheeseburger. I don't know.
Tim doesn't
That
look at
seems like
Tim doesn't look at the prices. It's just like when he was telling us about the flyers at the supermarket, where he's like, "Oh, their chicken's on special," and like it's not really on special. They just decided to put it on the front of the flyer. It could have been any price, and he's like, "Oh, it must be cheaper. It's on the flyer."
Yeah, well, it's like I didn't know what a key cost, but now I do because it was cheap.
Do you want to tell the
are
people?
you going to different locations,
Yes,
like on purpose, or that's
Yes.
just where your day takes you?
both. Yes, and
So, Geoff, I don't know if you watched the Best Bet show last week, but no, it was during the DraftKings show that I got a text from Tim about he was getting keys cut and how cheap it was. Tim, how much, the people need to know, did you think that it cost to cut a key?
Oh my God.
I had no idea what it would cost. So the backstory was I'm getting a key cut for my grandmother. She needed some keys cut for her garage. And I said to her, okay, I'll do that. She said, I'll pay you when I get back. And I said, how much are they? She said, they're probably $20 to $30 a piece.
What?
So I was like, oh, okay. So I was prepared to spend $20-$30 to get it cut. So I went to Home Hardware to get it done. And they're like, yeah, it'll be like $4.15 or something. And I was like, what? And I had to congratulate them on their very low prices. I said, thank you. This is very inexpensive. Thank you.
That's
I'll be
$4
coming back.
is more than I would have guessed. So
For two keys?
That is exactly what I said, Jen. I was like, that sounds high.
So then when I gave her the keys, she like had her wallet out and was ready to give me a bunch of cash. I was like, no, only $4.15. So as a thank you, she gave me a meat thermometer. What? Why is that funny?
One of the most random things I've ever heard.
She's like, here, I got this for you then instead. And it's just this meat thermometer.
like if the keys were actually what she thought they cost, she wouldn't have given you the meat thermometer.
No, she would have given me the cash.
What are you going to do with the meat thermometer?
I cook roasts.
Do you?
I do actually.
When was the last time you cooked a roast with your meat thermometer?
Well, not with a meat thermometer, but in the
You're
spring,
gonna
I
use
cook.
it in the bath, aren't you?
No, but I have been trying out the temperatures and different things. Like I wanted to see how hot my coffee was the other day, so I put the meat thermometer in there. Anyway, I was experimenting. But I do like make roast beefs or porks or whatever, or chickens in my roaster and in the oven. So it would be convenient to know what the internal temperature was.
I would assume
sorry,
so.
you're wondering
I don't know how you were cooking these things without doing that in the first place.
Well, I was calling up my grandmother and asking her how long should I bake a roast pork for? And then writing it down.
So just pure timing. But we know that you don't like to heat up the oven first. You just put stuff in the oven.
No, you got to I appreciate it. You can't just broil these things you got to preheat it.
So you do that now. You don't just broil everything.
Not everything. No, I still broil some stuff, but not everything.
What are you broiling these days?
Like if I feel like being fancy, I'll take a little wedge of brie and I'll broil it with some honey.
You're killing poor Megan by the camera.
What?
She's never heard you before.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. This is how you. I'm not sorry. This is how I live my life. I'll buy brie when it's on sale, and I'll cut it into like quarters, and then I'll put it on a cookie sheet with some tin foil, and then I'll put it in the oven, hit the broil, and then throw some honey on top of the cheese and let it melt. And then I dip it with some of those healthy pretzels that you can buy.
If you didn't know,
if I'm feeling fancy,
Megan, the microphone's there. You can turn yourself on for this one. If you weren't staring at a picture of Tim and knowing how old he was, how old would you have guessed he was if you just heard him talk?
Hello?
It's
I don't want to offend him.
no, you can't.
Like,
You're
he
not
could
going to
pass
offend
for,
me.
like,
It's
a
perfectly okay.
mid-40s.
Oh, really? That's very generous. And most people say like 80.
I wouldn't say 80, but I'd say like older than he probably is.
That's fair, but not substantially older. So Tim, you're getting one in the win column for this, I think.
Thank you. I feel
Celebrate.
good about that. Thank you very much. I mean, Jeff clearly didn't watch the live show because Ben Rosa had never heard the pie story, and Pat was trying to.
I watched, and you did a very unauthentic job in giving him the.
Well,
story.
I wasn't there to rehearse the pie story.
You didn't mention that you hid in aisles.
It wasn't relevant.
That you were peeking around corners to make
I
sure.
want to. You're right. But I want to return to the brie and why that's so funny. Why is it so funny that I heat up some brie and throw a little bit of honey on it to be fancy?
Okay, I was just laughing. Like when you asked what was so funny the first time, Pat said it was just truly the randomness of the gift. It all got me. And as you kept talking, I just kept laughing. But it was the randomness of all of it. is what got me.
I don't know whether I would have got the meat thermometer or not if it had been the price she thought. I bet you I
An
would.
early Christmas gift.
It would have probably been given to me a different time for a different task.
So it's like a real butterfly effect moment for your life, getting that meat thermometer.
I don't.
In
I
the
don't.
same way you keep some Subway gift cards at the door, your grandmother has the most random gifts.
Yes. Oh yeah. She'll buy things that are of no use to her, and she'll just give them to me at times.
Why would they be of use to you then?
I don't know. I'll take them.
But like the meat thermometer has a very practical use for you now that you're a master chef. But like, what are some
I
other
wouldn't say that.
what are some other things that she just randomly gives you, and what do you do with them?
I got a paperweight once.
What would you do with a paperweight?
Put my papers under it.
Do you got a lot of papers? Do you?
Not a whole lot, but
Enough? Are you like Wayne in Wayne's World? Just like, what am I going to do with a gun rack? I don't even own a gun, let alone many guns that would necessitate an entire rack. Do you have tons of paper that would necessitate an entire paperweight?
I use it occasionally. She gave me a bunch of AA batteries once because she didn't have any that took AA's. She meant to buy AAA's. I don't have anything to take AA's either, but I mean, if I did, they'd be useful. Whatever.
All right. It's funny because this is not the topic that I thought you were going to go with Cust Corner. We kind of got off on one here. That was good. I like that. We'll talk about trackpads versus mice next week, I suppose.
Oh, I forgot all about that. We will talk about that. People who use mice don't know what they're... Anyway, they might as well go back to 1989 when people used mice with computers. But we'll leave that for next week.
So you can stew on that one and think about that, audience out there. Vegas is hosting the New England Patriots. How much money are you two betting on this game?
We're double or nothing the bet from last week.
Yeah, so, I mean, listen, I clearly have to acknowledge the Patriots are far worse than even I had thought. Maybe injuries did play a part in that, but I'm kind of scared. Not scared. I actually hope they'll be better them be drafting at the very top than Oakland or Denver. But they're in a place I really didn't think they could or would be. It's way worse than even I thought. It's probably worse than Patriot haters thought the season could be. So I guess Tim does have the right to victory lap on me. I can't do anything about it. I am committed to betting this game because Patriots and Raiders was a very tipping point for the argument. And Tim being like, there's bad or worse than the Raiders. I was having none of that. That clearly could be possible. In closing, if I was the parent or grandparent of some of these Patriot fans on the internet, I would be scared shitless. I would be scared shitless that my kids are going to send me into a home the first chance they get. They're going to kick me to the curb. I get their expectations were higher and their standard is higher, but the lack of respect being shown to Bill Belichick to me is appalling.
So, Tim, you've been patrolling Patriots Reddit, haven't you?
Oh, yeah, of course.
You sent us a lot of screenshots of Patriots Reddit this morning. Or
I was having lots of fun.
It was less sad than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it's not pathetic. It's just like they don't know how to handle what's going on, and they're just very forlorn and giving up on the season. It makes me very happy.
Which, I mean, you gave up on the season before 4 snaps in.
Well, we'll get to the Jets, but I have been looking at that schedule, and I'm not so sure there's very many more losses on that schedule. But we'll get to them when we get to them. We're talking about the Patriots right now.
They have no future. It's one thing to be Chicago and suck. It's another thing to be maybe Houston and everyone else. At least you can point to draft picks or a future. It might be as bleak there. A few years ago, you guys made fun of me because I wanted to rank teams not based on the results. And because the Chargers, Herbert is a rookie, I thought it was just a successful season based on that. The Patriots would probably come in dead last. Not to say they're the worst, but
unless they get Caleb Williams.
There you go.
Their future. No, yeah, unless they get Caleb Williams. But at the moment, I don't think they're that bad, and they don't have anything for the future other than an injured corner rookie.
They're in the top 3. They'll get a quarterback. This is a pretty loaded draft. And I think they are a bottom 3 team in the NFL, and no particular opportunity with that schedule to think they're going to amass a bunch of wins.
Here's the thing.
So
I think the Patriots might be my super lock this week. I think they win in Vegas.
everyone's against the Raiders. The Raiders 2-3. They'll be 3-3 after this week. For the Bears next week, they'll be 4-3. They have the Giants shortly thereafter, 5-3. The Jets 6-3. Like the Raiders are going to win
Hold
like
on.
8 or 9
Hold
games.
on. So the Raiders are definitely going to beat the Jets, but you didn't see very many losses remaining for the Jets?
I don't see very many.
But one of them's
And
to
the
the
Raiders
Raiders?
are one of them?
Yeah, on a Sunday night in Las Vegas, I'm nervous about that game.
So what?
I'm nervous about that game. I don't think enough Jets fans are excited enough about this season to make the trip all the way out to Las Vegas for that game.
Truth be told, breaking down this Patriots Raiders game is just me having to admit like how dumb and wrong I am on multiple fronts.
Yes,
I lost a lot of money yesterday on the Packer game. I don't know. I was clearly fooled by the Packers, but that was also more of I think the Raiders are so bad. And as Pat kind of pointed out earlier, clearly the Packers are in that tier, if not worse. So, I think a lot of crow on both sides of this Patriots Raider matchup for sure.
Or the Packers had a really bad game. It happens. Teams have bad games.
You come out with the look on LaFleur's face like 3 minutes into that game. I never seen a coach look so distressed in a pick'em game 3 minutes in because his entire opening drive with extra days rest was just running dive plays with AJ Dillon.
Hey,
So I don't know.
It got AJ Dillon to his over rushing, and then LaFleur's such a genius, he was able to scheme a way for Wick's Vapor Rub to get open to get his catch in his over too. I think Matt LaFleur's a real hero.
Yeah, no, Matt LaFleur, Run the Sims has Matt LaFleur marked, if that's what we're talking
He
about.
did. I think every Packers prop over or under hit on Monday night. It was great.
Yeah, no, so yeah, they read him like a book, clearly. I don't know. They're not at the level of the Patriots, Tim, but I assume Packers Reddit is in maybe a same mental place as Patriots Reddit, as they don't really know how to deal with what is clearly happening. They're just not used to it.
I think you're probably right. I haven't spent any time on Green Bay Packers Reddit, but I suspect, yeah, they're also reeling and they're not quite sure how to handle the fact that maybe Love isn't good enough and the future looks kind of dim right now for them too. But I have no sympathy for them. They've won a bunch of games over the last 10 years. So
You know what? Here's the top post on Packers Reddit at the moment. This young team was one horse collar tackle away from being tied up and possibly going into overtime. No reason to panic or start calling people to be fired. If we win 6 games this season, it'll be a great beginning. Keep calm and carry on.
that is very unreflective of the average sports fan who posts on Reddit.
That is true.
That's a very level, dare I say, upbeat comment, and not one that I'm used to encountering.
Well, that's the most latest post that is up there right
Good
now.
for me, good for them. The Packers shouldn't be too worried. I mean, like, they've won a bunch of games and they have a lot of draft picks. They'll be okay. All is not lost.
I'm taking New England +3 in Vegas.
The Patriots can't score. 38-3, 34-0. Like I don't know the Patriots can score enough points to cover this number.
Wow, they're playing the right defense to do it.
You would think, but I mean, we'll see what they can do. I mean, the Raiders are anyway. We'll see. They have Patriots have a terrible offense. I'm gonna take the Raiders here, obviously.
Yeah, would you be surprised?
So I'm taking the Patriots, and we're betting.
Yeah,
Right,
we'll double. We're double or nothing the bet from last week. Absolutely.
Now, is the bet
And-
is the bet a spread bet or is it just a win bet?
Oh, well, given that Geoff gave me the spread last week when I was the dog, I got to give him the. We'll just make it a money line, just the win. So he's basically floating around with 3 free points by making it the money line.
Sorry, so it is
What-
a spread bet.
So it is.
No,
a
it's
spread.
money line. It's
Well,
money line.
You
You're
realize
getting
that
the-
I gave you
Vegas is favored by 3. You know that, right? You're getting the 3 free points.
But last week I had the dog and on the money line.
it was a 1-point spread last week.
1.5. Or
It was
something,
one.
but okay.
It was
It's
one when
fine.
we made the bet.
Whatever Tim wants.
Yeah, I mean, I want it to be money.
Of course you do. Who wouldn't? If you were taking the Raiders, who are a 3-point favorite, who wouldn't want it to be a money line?
But I mean, I would give Geoff like 1.5, the same. Anyway, whatever. Make it the money line. Just makes it easier. You think the Patriots are better than the Raiders? So.
Your
No,
precious.
yeah, you're right. Like holding me to my initial claim, this bet needs to be on the money line, even though that's bad for me.
Your precious DVOA, Tim, has the Patriots offense rated better than the Raiders offense.
They do, but they also have, significantly better special teams.
That is true. Patriots league worst special teams, but also the Patriots Patriots are still rocking.
I find it hard to believe because Gibson for the Jets fumbles like 3 times a game.
He also had he also had a walk-off touchdown in overtime.
That's what everyone remembers, but like I get petrified now every single time he touches the ball.
There were so many muff punts. There were more muff punts in week 5 of 2023 than I feel like I've ever seen on a Sunday.
There were a lot of them.
Yeah, people know that Muff sells, so they told him to do some more.
And this is your super lock, Pat?
No, it's on the short list because I have a few of them. It's probably going to be Indy, but we'll see as we go forward here. Arizona and the Rams, another late game. The Rams are favored by 6.5. I really want to take the Rams, but something seems fishy with this. I am going to take the Rams minus 6.5. The Cardinals may have hit their peak for the season. Now they're on their way back down. Listen, they can come out and they can beat the Rams. I don't think the Rams are any great shakes by any means. But their offense, I don't think that the Cardinals are going to be able to do what Philly did to them and just run like a 13-minute play against them and just keep them off the field the entire time. That the up-tempo pace that the Rams want to play, especially with Cutback, who's going to be even healthier this week and on the field even more, that I just think that they shouldn't have any problem scoring points, much like the Bengals did a week ago. And it feels like the Cardinals punched above their weight for 3 weeks. And now they're kind of going back the other way, that maybe that win against Dallas, Geoff, was kind of their Super Bowl.
So I agree with your assessment. And with that, even though I did bet and was on the Bengals last week, we might look back at this season when, say, the Bengals are winning their playoff games and like, oh my God, was that the spot of the season?
And I bet the Cardinals.
The team that we all thought was tanking versus the team we all had in the AFC title game, and we had to lay 3. I still believe, though, with you, Pat, that there's still maybe an opportunity to pick on this Rams team. They proved me wrong all through September. I mean, the Cardinals team, they proved me wrong through September. Maybe they'll keep proving me wrong. Unless you can really get to the quarterback, I trust McVay and Stafford to do everything they need with the offenses, with the weapons that are there now. I don't think the Cardinals get to the quarterback in the way the Eagles did, in the way that the Bengals did, in a way that the Colts defensive line shows they can.
I agree with Geoff completely.
Yeah, I agree. Like right now, it's not that the Cardinals can't get to, doesn't generate a ton of sacks, and maybe I should go look at the pressure numbers instead. San Francisco. They don't really get to they have very few sacks this year, which I just found very surprising. Just wanted to mention that. But yes, Tim, sorry for cutting you off.
No, I really don't have much to say. You guys have capped the game exactly the way I see it too. I love the Rams in this spot.
This is a great 6. Like I know we've hit the teaser back-to-back weeks. So we've been doing it for 3 weeks now. We're 2-1 with the teaser on the Best Bet Show. I can almost guarantee you Rams tease down to a half point is going to be on it.
Makes a ton of sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, so what I mean, we could probably just build a very easy 6.1 here. You go Rams down to a half point. You could just go Chicago and Chicago up.
You like Houston, so tease Houston up to 8.
Yeah, I get Houston up to 7.5. Yeah, that would be Houston. I don't even like the Bears, but I don't know if I probably wouldn't do the Bears, but I think that one makes the most logical sense. I'd probably tease Washington up to 8.5 before teasing the Bears up to 8.5 if I was going to do it with the 6 points. Or just wait for San Francisco to get to 6.5 and tease them down.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah. All right, next game. Philly and your New York Jumbo Jets. Are you a believer, Tim, in this team?
What does believer mean? I mean, do I think this team can win the Super Bowl? No.
Can they make the playoffs?
Maybe. AFC does seem to be pretty bad. And a lot of our hard games in the schedule are almost finished. We had a very, very front-loaded schedule. And after this week, which I think is going to be a loss, there are very few other losses on the schedule. I think the Jets could have a pretty decent November and December, just given the opponents that they face. But this is a really tough one. I just don't see how our offensive line has a hope in heaven of blocking the Eagles and their pass rush. I mean, they just made minced meat out of Stafford and the Rams last week. And in every big spot, they got sacks. I can't imagine our offensive line holding up to that type of pressure. Zach Wilson's either going to throw the ball away panicky and we're going to punt the ball, turn it over, or he's just going to get sacked a bunch. I think this is a really, really bad matchup for New York. As much as I'd love to hope that the defense can get some turnovers. I mean, our rush defense is so awful. They don't even need to run the brotherly shove to get that first down. That's a waste of opportunity because they can just run a regular draw play and get it. I'll tell you right now, there should be a prop as to over under 0.5 times an opponent will stop the brotherly shove, and there's no way I would bet the over in the Jets against them right now. Like I don't want to be pessimistic about the whole season because I think the AFC has gotten worse than we thought it was going to be, and I think there's a lot of winnable games down the stretch if Zach Wilson just doesn't turn the ball over. But this is not one of them. They're going to go down to defeat here. 7 points is still not enough. I would take the Eagles here and rely not happily, but I think the Eagles have to be the play.
What's your updated win total for you guys? I mean, you seem to say there aren't many losing games, but you're picking this loss and you're saying you're losing to the Raiders. So I'm trying to figure it out.
Personally, I have them at 10-7 right now, but 9-8 is just as fathomable.
Wait, you have them at 10-7, but they're going to lose to the Raiders and they're going to lose this game?
Well, they have 3 losses, so that would get them to 5.
Yeah.
So I see 2 other losses on the schedule.
They still play. So they play Miami again, and they play the Bills again. They're going to
play Miami twice, which I think will split.
Chargers.
Okay. So there's the other loss.
And then I think they'll probably end up losing to the Chargers.
And they'll beat the Bills in Buffalo.
They're going to beat them once, and the Bills are a wounded animal.
They're going to beat the Browns at the Browns?
Yeah, I'm not worried about the Browns on a Thursday night. I'm not worried about the Commanders or the Texans or the Falcons or
you're worried about the Raiders.
The Giants. Yeah, the Raiders seem to have our number year in, year out, and it's on a Sunday night for the moment till it gets flexed out.
Yeah, it does. But I mean, the thing is, the Falcons, Texans, Commanders,
that game,
and Raiders, and even the Giants. I mean, the Giants, we'll see what happens with them and who their quarterback is going to be in 2 weeks if Daniel Jones even plays this week, whether he's out for a while. But those other ones are all kind of like coin flippy games with the Jets right now. I
think the defense is good enough, and I think the skill players are good enough. As long as Zach doesn't blow the game, they'll win those games. So yeah, it's 10-7, but 9-8's totally there too. And 9-8 might be good enough to make the playoffs in the AFC. So
Rodgers,
but that's all it's good for. No, but that's all it's good for is that we get to the playoffs maybe, and then great, we go to Cincinnati or we go to I don't know, Indianapolis or something, we still lose. So what's the difference?
This is another game that you could potentially tease down. I mean, I do think that the Jets are live to win this game. The biggest issue I have, because I'm going to take Philly -7, Geoff, is one of the biggest reasons why I was all over the Jets last week was just looking at the league worst rush defense. Because the more times that you can take the ball out of Zach Wilson's hands and be productive on offense just really helps him a ton. And getting Breece Hall going is really good. But this is the #1 rush defense in football. You cannot. Like, we talk about the Titans and we talk about the Saints and how you can't run on them, Baltimore and Cleveland as well. But it's actually the Eagles that are the toughest team to run on. You can kind of pass all over them. But I just have no faith that the Jets can pass all over anyone if they can't get any semblance of a run game going. So if they're going to be stalled out on the ground and then they're thrust into using Zach Wilson, who actually just lost his best O-lineman for the year, it's not going to be a pretty picture. Even if the Jets D plays really well, like that's how they win this game. That's how they stay in this game. It's like this game, Tim, if the Jets are going to win it or cover, it has to look a lot like that Baltimore-Pittsburgh game last week.
No, it's got to look a lot like the Eagles Commanders game.
Yeah, but the Commanders can move the ball on offense.
Yeah, I guess Sam can go like quarters where he's unconscious.
Yeah.
Well, two other things. It has to actually look like the Chiefs game, where the Jets nearly stole that game, where a ton of turnovers had to take place.
Yeah.
The Jets had to get a safety. And the Jets have never beaten the Philadelphia Eagles before in the history of the NFL.
Really?
They're 12-0 all time. Eagles are 12-0 all time against the New York Jets. So a baker's dozen is coming.
I'm taking the Jets. I think it's just way too many points. A lot of the sharps really liked the Rams last week. Happy to say I wasn't one of them. Everyone seems to be thinking the Eagles are due to get God. I think this is a sneaky little spot, and something I just noticed, which we didn't talk about in the Dolphin game, which I guess could be credence to maybe Carolina squeaking a cover there maybe. Next week, boys, Sunday Night Football, Eagles, Dolphins. What a game. Oh, I'm already excited.
I expect Miami to cover and win that game.
I was going to say that
Eagle secondary.
That has the makings of 55-7 for the Dolphins, or they just lose 60-30 or something. Like it doesn't feel like that game is going to be close in either direction. Either they get stomped or they stomp Philly.
Yeah, I like Miami there. Just off the top.
So you're the only one taking the Jets here. I'm going to take the Philadelphia Eagles as well. Detroit and Tampa. It's kind of a fun game. I'm going to take the Bucks +3 at home because I'll completely.
Sure.
Of course I will. I love the Bucks. The Lions are pretty good. I don't know if Amon-Ra is going to be back. I don't know if Gibbs is going to be back. I think that Amon-Ra is probably more likely than Gibbs at this point. You got the Bucks coming off a bye. I do think that Mike Evans is going to play, and you worry that the Lions can just score 28 points in 4 minutes, and you're like, oh, Jesus, what just happened? But I think this Bucs defense is pretty good. I think they can stop the run pretty effectively. And Jared Goff has been better outdoors so far this season, but they're not the same outdoors as they are at home, especially on grass, not playing a road dome game. And this line just smells to high heaven. Although, Geoff, this could ultimately be one of these things where we look back in like 8 weeks' time, a lot like that Cincinnati-Arizona game, where it's like, how the hell was Detroit only -3 in this game when the Bucs are like, they haven't won a game since 2 weeks ago and they're 3-10 or something like that, and Detroit's the number 1 seed. You feel like an idiot, but I do think that the Bucs can keep this close. I think this is a field goal game, so I will take the team getting the 3 points.
Yeah, I agree with you. The spread reeks because we're all essentially, as football fans, credit to Tim, who I believe has Detroit going to the Super Bowl. I was one of those people that was excited for Detroit, unsure whether to believe it. But now that we're here, like anytime long-suffering fan bases can have some fun, I support it. In the same way that I don't give it really a shit that Patriots fans are sad, I'm so happy that Lions fans get a feel on top of the world. But it's extra rest. It is a team, when you watch sort of NFL debate shows now, Pat, like Detroit is now getting into that elite category. Like, is Detroit elite? So it's like, they are people, it's easy to think they are elite, and like they only need to beat Tampa by 3. So I agree, it stinks. I'm still gonna take Detroit, but I think this one reeks. I hope you're right that this is a game that can be laughed at when Detroit is in the NFC title game and we look back at it, but I don't feel great, but I can't pick against them right now in a show pick 'em.
I will take the Bucs getting blown out in this game if they can still win the NFC South, because then that's mucho dollars for me. But I think the Bucs have looked good so far. They look very competent so far this season, and that might be enough to throw off Detroit because they've been beaten up on all sorts of teams with really bad defenses, and this is not a bad defensive team whatsoever. Tim, I assume you're taking Detroit?
I am. If you believe as I do that Detroit's one of the 2 or 3 best teams in the NFC, then this is a spot where they should assert themselves with a spread that's a little too short. So, Yeah, I'm going to take the Lions here for sure.
One more game. Giants and Bills on Sunday Night Football. Once again, play in the Restart Survivor League. I am taking the Bills as my Survivor pick because I am still alive in the original one. But if you want to play in a free one with $5,000 to top prize, go click the link in the description right now and sub to the newsletter because I'll have more updates in there. You can make your picks as of next Tuesday, starting in Week 7. The Bills are favored by 14 in this game. Don't know who's playing quarterback for the Giants. It's probably worse for the Bills if Tyrod has a revenge game against them, but I don't know. Until the Giants show anything, the Giants are in danger of becoming a team that's like an 18-point underdog sometime soon, I feel like.
Imagine thinking that somebody who flips hamburgers can afford to go to a game at MetLife Stadium to boo you. Bills, Bills. Even their defensive woes won't be noticed here. The Giants couldn't even take advantage of Miami's shitty defense.
Yeah, I can't even make a case for the Giants here, as much as I might like to, because I think the Bills losing Milano, that's a huge loss. And, that defense is decimated. They too chose not to take a bye coming out of London. A lot of reasons to think the Bills, this would be a bad spot for Buffalo, but is there any better get-right game in the world than the Giants? I don't see it. I don't see the Giants putting up enough resistance. Buffalo by 14.
I'm going to take the Giants just because. Seems like a lot of points. I don't know a single person in the world. This will not get my real money. This line probably, if it's already at 14, I can see it going back up. So here's the case I can try to construct for the Giants to cover this spread. Not win this game, but cover this spread. One, Daniel Jones is super healthy all of a sudden, and he doesn't have like a sore neck, and he can run to the best of his abilities. Saquon comes back in this game, and they essentially don't even try to pass. They just run RPOs because this Bills secondary is bad, but their run defense is really bad. That you just have these extended drives. Daboll obviously knows this defense pretty well, this defensive scheme. He knows the offense really well and what Josh Allen's do's and don'ts are, and maybe he can press a few buttons and generate a turnover. It's funny. It would almost have to be like the even shittier version of when the Jets covered and almost beat the Chiefs. I don't even need that because it's a 14-point spread here. But if Barkley was back and able to control the clock and just keep the Bills off the field and go Josh Allen to one or two bad mistakes that you can take advantage of, maybe they can cover the 14 in that scenario, which is just a really sad...
Who made mistakes?
Because he was trying to force the ball to Waddle.
That is true. As someone who owns Waddle in a couple leagues, I appreciated it, and I noticed what you were saying, even from their first incompletion in the end zone was... to Waddle, but the Giants, this is probably a really ridiculous thing to say, but I say it in trying to have some respect for Bill Belichick, and I by no means believe Daboll should be on a hot seat or fired, but the fact that Brian Daboll is seems to get infinity more respect than Bill Belichick at the moment, when one guy's won 6 Super Bowls, has done so much, and is having a horrific season, and the other guy has won 9 games, 1 playoff game, and is having a horrific season, and he's above blame, but Belichick gets all the blame.
Yeah, but how many of those guys between them have cashed you a Coach of the Year ticket? Because I know which one cashed it for me.
No, I'm pro Daboll. I embarrassed myself by reading the message I sent to want Daboll as a Chargers coach. So I'm not anti-Daboll. I just don't understand. Their situations at the moment seem identical, except one guy has won everything.
So Buffalo for everyone besides me?
Yep.
All right. Let's get to Survivor, the SUPERLOCKS, and to recap the free money line for the week. I will be selecting the Buffalo Bills as my Survivor pick. Once again, you can get in the new Restart Week 7 Survivor League completely free. The link is down in the description. You can reserve your spot now. You can make picks as of next Tuesday. So I'll remind you again on next week's show, because that will be a Tuesday when that comes out. if it comes out. Who knows? Who knows where we're going to be in a week's time? The world cannot exist. Things that could happen. These are in the range of outcomes, but it probably is going to exist, so play in the fucking Survivor League, okay? Link in the description. Super lock for me for the week, Indianapolis plus 4.5. Geoff?
I was going to take whichever one of Indianapolis or New England. You did not, Pat. So I love punishment. Not only going to lose money to my friend Tim, but I'm going to embarrass myself in the process going down on that horrific ship.
I mean, I think you need to have a safe word if you're going to be betting New England right now.
I don't. Yeah,
I'm going to bet them. Listen, I'm going to bet them too, and we'll say coconuts, and everything will be fine. But it doesn't feel pretty right now.
Lost my super lock last week picking against the Raiders, so I'm just I'm in trouble.
Tim?
I'll take Chicago plus 2.5.
That's so scary.
We took some bad teams this week.
Yeah, somehow I ended up with the best team with the Colts. And Tim, your money line parlay is the Chargers, the Bears, and San Francisco?
No, Chargers, Bears, Raiders, San Francisco. It's a 14 money line parlay.
What does that pay?
Just a touch under 10-1.
Really? Oh yeah, because
You
it
can
has
at least
the Bears.
hedge out. You can hedge out on Monday.
Yeah, I could, but I don't think I'll need to. I think you guys are going to disassemble Dallas.
Oh, God.
I do.
Do you remind the audience the last time you thought the Chargers were going to disassemble a team?
I'm sure I've said it many times and it's wrong.
It was week 1.
Monday night is the best opportunity for you to have a good crowd rather than a Sunday.
You're
for
now
traveling
trolling
purposes.
me.
No,
The
because
Dallas
a Monday is not a
Cowboys?
weekend.
You're
But it's not,
trolling me.
even though the Cowboys on a Sunday would have a bigger crowd there than the Cowboys on a Monday.
Are you sick in the head?
No, although we're going to have a vote to decide that who's sickest.
That's
think
that's
that
how, that's
there's
how. Wait,
gonna
hold
be-
on. That's how you judge that vote. Who's the sickest in the head?
No, you're trolling me so
No.
you can now
No, I think that if this game was on a Sunday, Geoff, there would be a more pro-Dallas crowd there than it is on a Monday. I do believe that because just the traveling, et cetera, et cetera.
See,
I just think
there's no traveling. These people live there.
that's the thing.
What do you mean travel?
Yeah, people
wouldn't
are,
you be less inclined to go to a game on a Monday night than a Sunday
If
night?
I lived like the Dallas Cowboys fan base is everywhere. The population of Los Angeles is enormous. You're like, I don't know what you're talking about. There's no home field. Like, I just happy that when people want to make fun of the Chargers on Monday, they could roll the tape of what's happened to the Rams this year or the tape of yesterday when the Eagles were in there, because it's not just a Chargers problem. It's not just a Chargers problem, but like Jerry Jones is the reason that stadium exists. You know, Tim is one of my few friends who actually cares about like true league minutia. So we would have conversations about like the most inner league workings, nothing to do with games or players. And Jerry Jones facilitated this whole thing. Not to say that has anything to do with the game or the crowd, but that crowd is going to be all Cowboys. It's the Cowboys in Los Angeles.
Saying you have your best chance on a Monday crowd-wise compared to a Sunday game.
Yeah, but you,
That's all I was trying to
I think that you're missing the thread here. That you think that people are flying in from Dallas to go to this game, where they're not. In fact, it would probably be more likely, you could spin it, that there'd be a bigger Cowboys crowd because they would be the only ones inclined to go and sit in traffic on a Monday night to go see this game. Whereas people who are just ambivalent about the Chargers, where you might get some, rich dude with his kids who want to see a football game, he's got nothing to do on a Sunday, so they go and they don't cheer either way. They're not going to the Monday Night Football game.
Also, Pat, this is a very real thing. For the limited amount of Charger fans that they do have, this game could pay for half their season tickets. Like, this is the game that they resell to then be able to go watch us. Tim's got it all wrong, how this dynamic is working.
I'm willing to concede that. You made some good points.
Additionally, like how much of the Chargers season ticket holders, even in Los Angeles, are just people that drive up from San Diego every week, Geoff, would you say?
50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%. 50%.
I mean,
It must be
people that really get.
It must be a decent amount.
Yeah, it's a decent amount, but the problem is anyone like sort of familiar for how close they are. They're so different, and you watch like baseball games and like the fuck LA chants out of San Diego, like they mean that. So they'd have been happier for them to almost move anywhere other than the city that they want absolutely nothing to do with.
Not the question I asked you. The question was just, do they own season tickets? Where those people would be far more likely.
Yeah. I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. Of course. Because it is close enough.
Yes, but it's still a long ways and an entire day trip that it would be more likely that people would do it on a Sunday than a Monday. So I just wanted to back up your point.
I see what you're saying. And
Yeah.
another excellent point.
This would be, I mean, we could be completely wrong and Tim could be completely right. Just these would be the logical cases that I would use here and just thinking about who would be in that crowd. Now, listen, it doesn't matter. If it's 90% Cowboys fans or 80% Cowboys fans, it's going to be full of fucking Cowboys fans.
Correct.
I still like the Chargers in that game, as does Tim. And that will do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. I want to give a shout out to Paul. I want to thank Megan behind the camera for helping us out and putting this all together. Thank you very much, Megan. I want to thank the Coin for being here, beating Geoff Fienberg in the picks. You have to rectify that, Geoff.
Be better. Play better.
And of course, you always have to thank Tim Undercust
Tim and August.
That's not my name.
for being here today. Maybe you can find your microphone.
I'm going to try.
How much do you think the headset is that you were normally wearing? Because I can just pay for one of those, and you can keep one at work and one at home.
I don't know. We'll talk off air.
Would you say it's more or less than $30?
I don't know. I don't know anything.
How much do you think it would cost on Amazon Prime right now during Prime days?
I don't know. I don't use the Prime. I don't have the Prime accounts. I don't know.
Headset, microphone. Let's see. I can order you one right now.
No. Don't do that.
Prime days, $31. $25, Tim. $28. This one, you save $8. Wow. This one, you save $30 on it. On Prime. Rated 4.1 out of 5. It's pretty good. It doesn't sound like you like deals as much as you claim to.
He only likes deals if he gets to drive to the store, wait in the cold morning air, and buy it.
Yeah, I want you out there at 11 p.m. on Thanksgiving night waiting for the Black Friday sales, crowded around the store waiting for it to open at 3 a.m., where you push your way through a crowd of humanity to get to that deal.
But you don't do that.
No, I don't want it that badly.
Yeah, hire someone else to do it for him. Gets his personal assistant. He goes on TaskRabbit and then tries to negotiate a price and talk the guy down to stand in line for him. So he can get something at an even higher price than he could have just ordered online, delivered to his door like 3 months previously. And the points. This is true. All right, thank you all for watching. Smash the like. While you're here, you can always do that. You can always help out the show by leaving a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify or wherever you just pull in this RSS feed from. Wherever it is, leave a review while you're up there. Tell people about the show. That always helps spread some love for retweets and sharing and all that fun stuff so people can get a handle. Listen, less than 3 hours. Tim must be very pleased. I hope you are too. I'm Pat Mayo. I'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience.
Tim, did you sell the microphone for drugs?
No, I did not.
Experience.